started as the student organization. So I think it will be better for us to just come back to our kita, inshallah. And without further ado, I think this is a great event that we are engaging and outreaching to all the students, from Indonesia, Malaysia, and we can just continue our networking. And I think I'm gonna hand this over to the sister. Thank you to give further statement. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Thank you so much. Right now, we're going to follow by Makaka regarding talking about the briefing.
Thank you, Kamali. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to thank to everyone that can be here today. Special thanks to Pak Syafrin Murdas, IMSA President, and Amir Muktamar, Mas Yusuf Kurniawan, who is going for the field trip, and presenters, Professor Dr. Ismunandar, and the judges or jurors, Dr. Bevrika Murdianti, Arya Novianto, and Mas Arif Budiman, who is still busy also with the parallel session. ISO or IMSA Student Outreach is a new division of IMSA that focuses on providing a forum for Indonesian students to be more active and involved on IMSA activities, especially on academic environment. ISO is expected not only to be media for current Indonesian students in North America, but also as a gateway for Indonesian students who would like to continue their study in USA and Canada. As a start, ISO has been developing a database for Indonesian Muslim students in USA, so they can be easily, the database can be easily as a resource about their fellow based on demographic, field study, or level of study. We would like to develop academic network among students and enhance that networking by having activities involving them. ISO activities will not be success without active role of student and IMSA alumni. Let us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing to this activity and to all of us. At least with this my brief statement, we open this ISO session for today, and I'll give this one to Kamali. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Makaka, for the brief introduction and thank you statement. And now we're going to have Eka, who will be speaking about the bio for Professor Dr. Ismunandar. And
thank you, Camelia. I'm super excited today to introduce you to our next speaker. So we have Professor Dr. Ismunandar here, who serves as a educational and cultural attaché at the Indonesian Embassy in Washington, D.C. So before we start, I'm gonna read the curriculum vitae of Professor Dr. Ismunandar. So he was born in Purwodadi, Indonesia, and in addition to serving as an educational attaché, he's also a chemistry professor at Bandung Institute of Technology. He obtained his bachelor degree in chemistry in 1992 from also Bandung Institute of Technology, and also he got his PhD also in chemistry from the University of Sydney, Australia. So before serving as a attaché in Washington, D.C. He was also holding the same position in Indonesian Embassy in Singapore. He has received several, actually a lot of awards throughout his career. So some of them includes serving as a past director of Southeast Asia Minister of Education organization. He's also one of the finalists of Australia Alumni Award in 2012 and young affiliate of Childhood Academy of Science in 2010. So without further ado, Pak Ismu, please come to the podium.
Thank you so much, Pak Safrin and Mbak Keke and fellow students. As been mentioning, my name is Ismunandar. Befrika is one of my students in ITB. So here we go. We met again here. And I always introduce my name to my chemistry students. Actually, my name can be spelled out by all the chemicals in periodic tables. So it's a neat introduction when I teach general chemistry to introduce that my name is like my parents already know that I'm going to be a chemistry professor. And it's also it's quite fun that I learned that all the chemicals that spell out in my name I use in my research during my so you can see here that start from the if you know chemistry, start from iodium, samarium. Samarium is one of the it's not common elements, but is quite common in electronic industry. And uranium, of course we know uranium for nuclear industry, but also in material science we use uranium. Sodium, of course, neodymium, and argon. If you need special atmosphere, then you use argon. So most of my career is, of course, in chemistry. I started to do a little bit of diplomacy, as been mentioned by the MC. And I was a director of Southeast Asian Ministry of Education for teacher training. So I involved in ASEAN Ministry of Education in the times, and then there's an opening or like vacancies of education attaché. So usually we apply, and then I got the position in Singapore. Halfway in Singapore, I've been asked to move to USA here. But I'm finishing because the job, usually the term is usually 3.5 years. So this December is my end of the term, so I'm going back to ITB on the 4th of January. So it's thank you for the opportunity to say goodbye to IMSA here. But again, this is the things that if you are in the future you become a faculty in Indonesian university, then there is also opportunity if you want to do a little bit diplomacy, then you can apply for the position. Education attaché is usually either someone from university or someone from the Ministry of Education or Minister of Higher Education in Indonesia, because the Ministry of Education is split. Higher education for higher education, and then Minister of Education for primary until high school. And the position of education attaché in the world is not many actually, it's only 16. So Indonesia has only 16 education attaché in the world. US is one of them. So in America, all the American, what you call continents, is only in Washington DC. But in Europe there are many. Berlin, in Den Haag, Paris, London, yeah. So there are several in Europe, and then in Asia, of course, and Australia. Okay. Now, I would like to introduce a little bit about our activities so that we can, by doing that, also also you can see the opportunities for Indonesian students or students in general. Of course, the main task of education attaché is to facilitate the collaboration between Indonesia and US in education. And so far, the one that is very intense in the collaboration is the university-to-university collaboration. University-to-university collaboration can be research. Approximately every year, about 105, 110 research permit between US and Indonesia is granted. That's the new one. So, although Indonesia and US is quite far, the intensity of collaboration between researchers both countries are quite intense. And then several universities start to have a joint degree. Some of university in US here having summer program in Indonesia. It can be like one semester summer program, 2 months, 1.5, 2 months, or even like some university organize very short one, like 2 weeks. The advantages, of course, is that the cost of living in Indonesia is very cheap. That can be like outbalance the travel. The travel costs could be because of the distance. The travel could be quite expensive, but then the living cost there is very high. This is still things that we can develop further. Staff and student exchange. Now the new governments, the new administration is not quite new anymore. It's already 3 years here. Pak Jokowi is encourage overseas university to open university in Indonesia. So this is, if you are faculty member here, then you can encourage your university to collaborate with local university in Indonesia to open the university in Indonesia. And then we start school-to-school collaboration. So if you happen to be here involving in school here, want to improve Indonesian education system, want to help Indonesian education system, you can also help for schools-to-school collaboration. One of the activities that we also did is like the disabled leader exchange. Indonesia, although it's quite late, we start to facilitate the disabled people in Indonesia. And we last year did exchange between deaf leaders in Indonesia and US, because in here the leaders that came to Indonesia from US is like lawyer graduate from Harvard. They are deaf, but they are lawyer graduate from Harvard. Some of them is like working as a secretary for Obama administration in that time. So the deaf people here have the same opportunity, sometimes better opportunity than the normal people. But in Indonesia, there are still lag behind. Many university do not have facility for deaf people to study at university. So, for example, but the new law in Indonesia is that government should facilitate or should not make the disabled left behind. So that's why we want to select some of the leaders that can encourage others disabled people in Indonesia to also take advantages of the new law. Now, I would like also to mention several foundation in US here that if you are your research is involving Indonesia and involving like field trip in field study in Indonesia, not field trip, field work in Indonesia, then some of this foundation is having opportunity or having fellowship or scholarship to help you on that. So one of them is IFIS, it's American Indonesian Foundation something. They provide scholarship for that. And then the second one is American Indonesian Cultural and Education Foundation. Usually the education attaché is one of the board member in American Indonesian Cultural and Education Foundation. So they have a fellowship and scholarship for field work in Indonesia. We also, American Indonesian Cultural and Education Foundation also have scholarship for, we've been discussing with Bakato as if, for example, Fulbright only give 3 years scholarship, but PhD usually need more than 3 years. So in the 4th years and 5th year, if you don't have the research assistantships or teaching assistantships, then American Indonesian Education and Cultural Foundation might consider you eligible for scholarship. So that's the one also. And then of course, Fulbright, especially for Indonesia, is managed by AMINEF, American and Indonesian Educational Exchange. Yeah. So special for Indonesia, there is foundation special for organizing AMINEF in Indonesia. AMINEF in Indonesia has been 65 years in Indonesia. If you are faculty members here, we in the Embassy of Indonesia, especially in our section, is trying to collaborate with all the faculty that have Indonesian root to, so we maintain the database of Indonesian faculty that working in US universities. So Africa is in the list there because she is a faculty here. But we have about 73. The list is growing because we from our members that this is Indonesian faculty, but it's not listed there, and then we add. And then through this database, we have several activities. One of them is we form an organization called Indonesian American Society of Academics, and this organization have several meetings already, and then we already deal with the Indonesian ministry, especially the Minister of Planning, and they have a special board aims to help Papua, because Papua is one of the provinces in Indonesia that is under the flood, and there are two focus at the moment. So we're going to start soon in January. One is helping the boarding school in Papua, and then secondly having telemedicine, because in Papua there are like several puskesmas. It's very remote, and then no doctors want to serve there. So the aim of telemedicine, of course, if there is like nurse or someone there, but with handphone, they have connection, internet connections, then the specialist can help the nurse there to diagnosis and then to better treat the patient there. So in Papua, telemedicine will be very important. And hopefully this project will be models, because in Indonesia it's not only Papua that having remote problem like that. Even in Jawa Barat, in West Java, Sukabumi, for example, is many remote places that is not just reachable by the good health providers. And then, in addition to educations, we also, of course, culture, because education and cultural attaché. So we also, half of the my jobs is actually how to collaborate culturally between Indonesia and us and US. So we in the MC we try to collaborate and to be because we not having abundance resources, we have limited resources, so we have to target it, our collaborator to be the best collaborators. So we collaborate with Smithsonian, Kennedy Centers, Library of Congress, if we do the activities. For example, in 2016, we is performing Indonesia, like cultural performance, but we try to put a theme of Islamic intersection. What we was trying to do is we want to show that Islam in Indonesia is tolerance, Islam in Indonesia is moderate, and it's also shown in all the cultural manifestation in Indonesia. So, for example, in that time we saw several cultural performances, fashions in Indonesia, and then even like the tilawah, tilawatil Quran. Not all Islamic countries allow women to recite Quran in the front of publics. In that time, we invite Ibu Maria Ulfa, one of the Qori'ah, famous Qori'ah in Indonesia. Actually, Ibu Maria Ulfa is also one of the respondents, one of the professors here in William and Mary, study all the style of Ibu Maria Ulfa. So this time is good. And then other performances, of course. Yeah. So if you are Indonesian students in the university want to help us in promoting Indonesian culture, we can also collaborate. The collaboration means that we probably can sponsor a little bit for your activity, for example, Indonesian night, or you organize Indonesian bazaar, for example. Then we, as education attaché, can help if you want to help us in promoting Indonesian cultures. We also actually recently in September this year we collaborate with Columbia University to organize a special forum. It was the leaders, world leaders forums, and then we asked Vice President Yusuf Kala to speak about Islam moderate in Indonesia and Columbia University, and then well attended by Columbia students and students in New York around Columbia University. Yeah, and also in culture again, we also collaborate with Indonesian diaspora. So, for example, in Washington D.C., there is an organization called House of Angklung. They are promoting Angklung very widely, so we collaborate with them. Yeah, because Angklung is very cheap and very effective to promote Indonesian cultures, Indonesian values. Because if we can like have we have like conference usually 300, 400 people in the room, and then we can distribute angklung. Each of participants hold one angklung, and then we can play together. Learning 5 minutes, and then we can play a song together. And then, but the beauty is that each person hold only one note. Yeah. And then you have to listen to others. You have to wait to others to play your part. That's the value of Indonesia. Harmony and society is very important. So through very simple media and very simple things, we can also and again, this one, if you also think that, oh, I can help promoting this to school or university or student activity in the university, then we welcome. We usually send not many, I mean like 3 sets of angklung to student or to school, and then as long as they promise to help promote Indonesia to the media as well. The other parts that we also promoting is Bahasa Indonesia. Of course, this is one of the language diplomacy that we trying to also do and try to convince the Indonesian also important language. Yeah. In US at the moment is only 19 universities that teach Indonesian, but several highly like Ivy League university is also teaching Indonesia, like Cornell, Yale, Harvard also teaching Bahasa Indonesia. I think the largest classes in Bahasa Indonesia at the moment is in Yale. They have like every semester is about 150 students learning Bahasa Indonesia. So 19 university from east to west coast. We usually every year we organize like debate in Bahasa Indonesia. Invite the students that study Bahasa Indonesia in this 19 university to come and then to debate in Bahasa Indonesia. The winner usually we invite the winner to 17 Agustus, 17 Agustus in Istana, and then to sightseeing in Bali. We also trying to do the certification on Bahasa Indonesia like TOEFL, yeah, like TOEFL, tes PIPA, tes Bahasa Indonesia bagi penutur asing. We also have that, so kind of TOEFL for Bahasa Indonesia. Bahasa Indonesia we organize the classes. In addition to 19 university, the classes also organized at Indonesian consulate. Almost all Indonesian consulate in US have Bahasa Indonesia classes, usually free. And diaspora, some of organization, Indonesian diaspora organization, for example, ICON in New England, ICA in Washington State, Florida, Dompet Duafa in Philadelphia. So they collaborate with us to organize Bahasa Indonesia class. This can be for our second or third generation of Indonesian in US, or could be like for US citizens that want to learn Bahasa Indonesia. Some of the permias, for example, in New York, or permias New York, they have special language class they call akar, because akar in English is root. In language is the root. If you forget your language, it's like you're forgetting your root. Yeah? You're forgetting your what's original. For Bahasa Indonesia, we also collaborate with Fulbright. Fulbright every year send 10 bahasa, usually English teacher. In Indonesia, they are English teacher in several university or in school, but their duty here, when they already come to US, then they have to teach Bahasa Indonesia at the university. So because they have English as a medium to teaching, Bahasa Indonesia is their mother tongue, so they can teach Bahasa Indonesia. But in addition to that, every year we are Ministry of Education in Indonesia also send three Bahasa Indonesia teachers to US. So if you think that in your community, around your university that you are studying, you want to promote Bahasa Indonesia, or you think that, oh, second generation of Indonesian diaspora in nearby your university, they don't speak Indonesian, so they're forgetting the root. Yeah? So you want to like help them to like to relearn the Indonesian again, and you can organize, and then we can collaborate. This is the last program is from Department of State. Department of State of US also recognized that Indonesia is one of the critical language. So they have a program that they have scholarship for. It can be for diaspora, Indonesian diaspora, to have a summer program in Indonesia to learn Bahasa Indonesia. This is a program that we trying to recognize Indonesian student excellencies. Every year we run a program called Ambassador Award for Excellence. Usually we award this award every in the Independence Day, and there are three categories: either elementary, secondary school, or higher education. So the application is open usually as soon as January 30th. Yeah. So check at the website, and then usually there's a prize. Yeah, there's a prize. And then I think lastly I would like to mention a little bit about this program, LPDP. I think LPDP is a very generous scholarship from Indonesian government for Indonesia. So if you are diaspora here, but you still hold Indonesian passport, then you are eligible for that. Yeah. But the scholarship is only for graduate study, not for undergraduate. Yeah. And then requirement is that you have to study at the top 200 university and US ranking. It will be better if you also study at the top priorities of the country. At the moment is maritime, in the creative industry and STEM. Yeah. But again, sometimes those people also like teaching at university in several, in some of the very unique field, then actually every field is sponsored by LPDB as well. But you have a good chance if you are in the top priorities field of it. Oh, and then the last thing is that Dharma Siswa, again, if you are diaspora here, you probably hold the US passport already, then you also eligible for that. This is Indonesian scholarship for overseas students. Okay, not for Indonesian, of course, because this is the scholarship to learn Bahasa Indonesia, art and culture of Indonesia. And the scholarship is only living allowance, so you have to travel by yourself, going back here by yourself. Usually for US it's about 20 peoples a year, but the total number of awardee or the total number of scholars is 1,000. So if you are diaspora Indonesia here but you want to learn your root in Indonesia for 1 year program, then this is the scholarship that are available. And then to this program also you have a chance to meet others scholars from around the world, because 1,000 scholars. Usually they are distributed in several university or several art institutions. But then again, there are time to time get-togethers and have activity together, performances, so you know each other and forming a network of scholars. I will stop there. So if there is any comments, any questions, then I would be happy to share if I can. Otherwise, then thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for Pak Ismunandar. We heard a lot of exciting story. Hopefully, we can get more involved in all of the Indonesian Embassy activities. So we're gonna have a Q&A session for 15 minutes, and we're gonna do one question at a time. Are there any questions? Can you please stand up? Thank
Just
you.
more of repeating what you said earlier because I didn't hear it. So,
Let me
Phoenix
just
from
give
us?
so everybody can hear it.
So Phoenix Premias is planning on hosting Indonesian night, and we need sponsors. So how do we get the sponsorship from you guys? Who do we contact? Like, what's the website? How do we go about that?
Yeah, usually just email us with your plan and things. So email to education@embassyofIndonesia.org.
Okay, thank you.
Your proposal. And actually you also can email also to the consulate. If you are in Phoenix, then our consulate in LA also probably can help you. Of course, the help doesn't always mean money. It can be like, if they have properties, for example, the costume, or they have traditional instrument that you want to borrow, then they probably can. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, next question.
Yeah, my name is Taufik Muladin. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, Ohio State University. I have questions. Previously mentioned that the embassy has scholarship for Indonesian students studying here who don't get like financial assistance from the university or institution. Actually, what would be covered by the scholarship? I mean, just the tuition fee or including the living costs? But I forgot what the exact, the American Indonesian something, I think.
Yeah. So actually, this is the American Indonesian Cultural Education Foundations. The scholarship is keep changing. Yeah. In the past, it's actually only like supporting like 1 month, supporting $300 or something a month for Indonesian. But then through the discussion we said that, oh, 300 a month, then actually it's you're supporting someone, but then 300, what can you support with by 300? It has to be like someone already have something, or why not better to like support someone that is like really need. For example, they only have 3 years of Fulbright, but then the 4th year he doesn't have a PA or a opportunity, and that kind of thing. So I think this year they're going to reformulate that. So just check in the website aecf.org. But I think they don't have much money also. Yeah, so they're trying to do several things. They don't have much money because actually the foundation itself is come from when the Pertamina have a lot of money at that time. So they have put some of money from Pertamina, and then, but this is the what you call is endowment. You cannot touch the mother's money. So you only spend the interest. So it's not much money. So, and they have big ambition doing cultural also. So probably only 1 to 2 students each year. But if you really need, then probably you put a strong argument. Why not? Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Isnanda. My name is Ali Budiman. I'm not in the academics, but I'm in the industry. So I work at Orange Genomics in St. Louis, Missouri. So, Pak Isnanda, you showed that you have the Indonesia America Academics of Society, Society of Academics. Sorry. Have you ever reached out to those diaspora in US, Canada, who are involved in the industry? Because in US, the industry is very close to the research. For example, I myself, we've been involved with the Malaysian Palm Oil Board for the last 12, 15 years. We do research on oil palm with the Malaysian government. But so I think it's a good idea to reach out to those that are in the industry, and we can make a society as well, so that we can bridge the need of the industry as well as a lot of factors in how we implement really the research into the industry level. And I've been going back to Indonesia many times, but almost 30 times for the last 6 years. So I would consider now with the new cabinet, the Ministry of Research and Technology combined with the higher education, yeah. And what I have observed, that it's difficult to do research in Indonesia. We have so many obstacles, but at least we try to solve the problem, as much as we can. And I consider that 1 year in US, it would take about 2 to 5 years if you do research in Indonesia because of the obstacles. So we have to weigh many factors. How can we do our research there? For example, like in the basic research, or a lot of our reagents, we depend on imported materials from Indonesia. The price can go up twice, can go up 3 times as much. Sometimes it will take time to get into Indonesia because of the tax duty and everything. Have we ever thought reaching out to different ministries? How can we think like the Malaysian government so that all equipments that are used solely for research, remove the tax, do not use tax on it, and make it easier to import all those reagents that are needed to conduct research. That way it will be cheaper for us to do research in Indonesia. So like, it's going to be inter-departmental, inter-ministries. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Arif. Yeah. I think there's 2 issues there. I mean, the first one, we start with academics part. We start with the professor in university first. I think we at the Embassy for Indonesian American Society of Academics, we at the Embassy also put ourselves as facilitators. The main driver, of course, is the society. So the chair is Pak Edward Wanandi and Pak Heri Utomo from Louisiana, the one from diaspora. So I think they're starting from the academics and the university first, but then they start now to reach out the the one that working in the like research institution like NSF, the one that working in Carnegie and stuff like that. That not period. I think the next step will be like one that like you is strongly related with academics but working in the private institutions or in research institution. Then I think it's a good. It will be like automatically part, I think. And thank you for your your willingness to join that. I think that will be very important. And also thank you for the input part. For the second part is that it's input for Indonesia, how we in Indonesia can better manage in research things. As you mentioned, is involving several ministry, and then I think that's the key. I mean, like the problem in Indonesia is the coordination between the ministry. And hope we can solve it. I think we have to solve it. Otherwise, as you mentioned, 1 year research can be like 5-10 years in Indonesia, and then people is already run ahead and from us. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Pak Ismu. Do we have more questions? If not, then let's thank Pak Ismu again.
Thank you.
For the next session, I'll just
Thank you so much. And all right, so now we're gonna follow up with the student contest. So can I have the 3 judges to be here sitting in the front? So first we have Dr. Muhammad Arif Budiman. He is a senior scientist in Orient Genomics in St. Louis, Missouri. And then we have Dr. Befrika Murdianti. She is an assistant professor of chemistry from University of Ozarks. And finally, we have Mr. Arya Novianto, Associate Director of Research Technology for College of Business in University of Illinois. So thank you so much for these 3 individuals for coming here. So we have 7 students who will be speaking for us here today. So regarding the agenda, so you have up to 10 minutes to speak and present. I'll give you a 3-minute and a 1-minute warning. And after those 10 minutes speak, you have a 5-minute question and answers by the 3 judges. And then, yeah, so we'll first begin with our first speaker, which is Dion Ginanto. He is a PhD student from University of Michigan, and he will be speaking Involving Parents, a study from an Islamic boarding school in Indonesia. So if you can have Dion Ginanto come up here.
I was expecting that there will be ballot, so like taking the number and then, but it's not based on the first name, so I need to be ready. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, this morning Allah gave us mercy, so we can gather together here, listening to Papa Ismunandar, and then hopefully we're gonna listening other presenters who has like very interesting topics. And this morning, I would like to present my research on involving parents, a study from an Islamic boarding school in Indonesia. Thank you, the MC and the jurors. Well, my name is Dion Ginanto. I'm a fourth-year PhD student from Michigan State University. So, the first is, why am I interested to do the research on parental involvement? The first reason is because the academic, there are so many research that has been proven effectively and economically to improve the academic performance, especially here in the US. And it's really cheap and economical. And it's been proven that if parents engage in student education, it's going to be improve student outcome academically. The second, so we know, especially in Indonesia, we have the kid zaman now phenomenon, which is it's really difficult to control the kid, fighting on the street, they disrespect the teachers, and so forth and so forth. So in Indonesia and other countries, they experience the similar problem, especially in behavior. And the research already proven that by having a good parental engagement, it will have a good outcome in student behavior. And lastly, it will decrease the student dropout, which is really important. And the next question is, why Indonesia? Why not other country? Well, because the study on parental involvement in Indonesia is too low, and so many research is not so many. We don't have like research on parental involvement, but there are several research. They analyze that the parental involvement is too low due to, so parents think that their role is only from baby until the school age. So when it's come to the school age, it's the responsibility of the teachers. So parents has no responsibility in it. And it used to be in Indonesia, the government only rely on curriculum and teachers. But they forgot that school cannot do it alone. They need to engage, they need to involve parents in order to have a good student performance. And lastly, in 2015, now the government start to realize that, oh, parental involvement, parental education is really important, and they created Directorate of Parenting Education under the Ministry of, was that Anies Baswedan or at that time. But it's only in the Ministry of Education and Culture. Now, why parental involvement is boarding school? Well, because how parents will be involved if the students are living with teachers and they live far away from their parents. Will parents still have role in their children's education? That's why this study, I believe, is going to be important for research or practice, and hopefully it has a good contribution for the Ministry of Religious Affairs, because in the Ministry of Religious Affairs, they do not have yet the so-called Ministry of Parenting Education, Directorate of Parenting Education. So based on that, there are three research questions. The first research question is, how are parents involved in their children's education in Islamic boarding school in Indonesia? And in what ways does abstain framework apply to parental involvement in Islamic boarding school in Indonesia, and I would like to explain what abstain framework. And last research question is, what family characteristics predict parental involvement in an Islamic boarding school in Indonesia? So as I mentioned before, I use this conceptual framework, and this conceptual framework of parental involvement models has been used widely here in the US. The Secretary of Education has been widely used also in the Europe, and I am really interested to see whether or not this parental involvement framework also can be applied in Indonesian context. However, once again, students in Islamic boarding school, they live closely to teachers, peer, staff, and school principal, but they live far away from the community and the parents. But now, how can the Islamic boarding school use this, or whether or not they apply this parental involvement framework? I use mixed method, both qualitative and quantitative. I interview 7 parents with varied on gender, distance, and socio-economic status. And I interview 6 teachers, varied by gender and major subject. And I also observe both formal activities of parental involvement and informal activities of parental involvement. And the quantitative, I have the survey based on the abstain framework, and I got 79 participants. And where did I do the research? I did it in Berjaya Boarding School, which is pseudonym, in Jambi, Indonesia. When did I do that? May to August 2017. So it's this summer, or last summer. Well, this is the result. So I interview both teachers and parents, and how they define parents, which is interesting. So because of the lack of the time, I just pick one quote from the both teachers and parents, so I cannot perform all the quote. So Mr. Suyat, Mr. Suyat, all the name here are pseudonym. So Mr. Suyat is the school principal, and he mentioned that parents in the boarding school, they define it not only conventional parent as father and mother, but they also define parents as spiritual parents, and so first, as Mr. Suyat say, the first is biological parents as father and mother, and the second is spiritual or knowledge parents. Spiritual or knowledge parents is the teachers is spiritual parents because they deliver the knowledge. So in the boarding school context, teachers, staff are also considered parents. And they also define parents as extended families. Mrs. Jamal, one of the wife of the owner of the school, she mentioned that here in this school, everybody needs to be sincere. If the parents are not sincere sending their kid to the school, the parents not only father and mother, it includes elder sister, uncle, niece, grandparents, and stuff. They need all to be sincere. If they're not sincere, then the student will not be happy living in the boarding school context. So this is really interesting. Well, parents are not defined as only father and mother. And as I mentioned before, whether or not abstain models can be seen or can be observed in the school context, in Islamic boarding school context. Well, the first model is parenting. So parenting is just sending kids to the school, make sure that they have the nutrition and something like that. And Miss Marnie, one of the teachers, say, yes, I visit my son every 2 weeks. I will bring some foods for him. So every 2 weeks, Miss Marnie visit their children, her children. Communicating, whether or not teachers and parents are communicating, or school and home, do they communicate with each other? And Mrs. Jamal say, I let everyone to call me, including parents. I'm open for parents to ask me questions or to consult about everything. We also let parents visit their son, daughter 2 times a week. So we are very open for parents to communicate with us. So this is really awesome. Because maybe in the daily school, parents will, maybe they will communicate with the teachers when they pick up the report, like the final report. Volunteering. Mrs. Gusrani, one of the teachers, say, the female parents will always came to help cooking if we have a big event. For male parents, they usually help with preparing the tent, cleaning up the schoolyard, and with the parking, etc., etc. So, with all of the six, we have one which is not observed, which is really difficult for me to prove that decision making is observable. So the school doesn't have the school committee, which is like almost all schools have. Teachers and parents mentioned that parents are not included for decision making process. And one of the school principals say, due to the distance, so it's difficult for them to include or to engage parents in decision making. However, in learning at home and collaboration with community, yes, it's so obvious. Collaborating with the community, the school even has the so-called community development. For the grade 12, they need to be sent to the remote area. They need to stay there for 10 days. And in this case, parents are all involved to help their children. And lastly, I also found an interesting finding. Beyond the abstinence model, I found there are 4 kinds of parental involvement models, which is material support, spiritual motivation support, evaluator, and license. So one thing which is stand out for me here is the evaluator. The evaluator means the school engaged parent to come every 3 months. They are allowed to evaluate their own children. So, for example, like this room, all of them are the student, and the parents are invited. One student name called, and parents can ask the questions, and then parents can, decide whether they are happy or not. If they're not happy, then they will mention to the teachers, that maybe for remedial or everything. And this is very interesting, and I don't think the school in the world has this model, ask parents to evaluate their own children in front of their peers and in front of their teachers. So lastly, what family characteristic can predict parental involvement? We have parental income, farmer, number of siblings, and the other variables. So the outcome variable are the 6 models for predicting, and the independent variable are parental income, farmer, number of siblings, parental education, gender, parent type, and parent distance. And with all of these dependent variable, with parental income and farmer and number of siblings. Parental income means the more income you have, the more parental engagement that you will have. And the farmer, if you are a farmer, then you will have less parental engagement. And the more you have siblings at home and at school, this one is number of siblings at home, then you will have most likely a lower parental involvement model. And so this is the last model that I found. So in addition to the black, this is the black, or the abstinence model, and then I add something that I found with the other color, which is evaluator, educator, liaison, material supporter, and non-material supporter. So this will be, hopefully, will be the recommendation for the parental involvement model in Islamic boarding school. And thank you so much. Is there anything I can do to improve my study? Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leon. And then follow up with the questions and answers from
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Epstein models, obviously, but does it only apply to one school? I mean, how do you can you generalize the result into more more parental involvement model for other boarding schools, or this result only applies to this one school only?
Thank you so much. Very important questions. Yes, so for now, because I only conducted my research on only one boarding school context, and the boarding school context, I would say, this is the best Islamic boarding school in the district of Tebo, Jambi, and I would like to say that this probably not represent all the Islamic boarding school in Indonesia, but with the method that I have, mixed method, qualitative and quantitative, hopefully it will decrease the bias. Having me interview and observing, but I also have the survey result and stuff, so it's going to be balanced the result. So hopefully in the next feature, or after this research, then I will hopefully broaden this research, because I am really interested to do these models not only in Islamic boarding school but also in daily school, because I do believe that we need to have this kind of reform in Indonesian education, because we only focus on teachers, we only focus on curriculum. When we have new Ministry of Education, we have new curriculum. So why don't we try to involve parents? It's going to be cheaper. There's already so many research proven that having a better parental involvement is going to be better academic outcome, behavioral outcome, and better graduation. Why don't we try parental involvement? Why don't we try engaging parents at school? It's going to be much more cheaper than we change the curriculum, much more cheaper than we have the national exam, much more cheaper than we need to have the UKG, Uji Kompetensi Guru, which force the senior teachers or the old teachers to be tested using the computer-based test, which is, for me, it's really difficult for the senior teachers to do so. So I think, yes, this research is, for now, is for apply for only one school context. Thank you.
I have a question. Have you done a research on the community engagement with the improvement of the students' outcome? For example, because they're living in a boarding school, they will probably spend half of their day working with schoolwork, and then they will also have plenty time that they can use, for example, as an extracurricular activities, making an integrated extracurricular activities that involves the community.
Right.
Have you done that kind of research with this specific Berjaya boarding school?
Right. Very good questions. Very good question. So, yes, Epstein model also say that it's not enough only engaging parents, but we need to also engage the community. And that is also observable in the school. So one thing is the collaboration with the community. So almost because this is Islamic boarding school. At least they have the so-called pengajian. They have pengajian akbar. They have taklim. They have buka bersama. So these all activities is not designated only for student and parents. And then the honor of the school is also the charismatic leaders. I believe almost all pondok pesantren, the honor of the pondok pesantren, like the charismatic kiai also. So he is very famous in the community, and he mentioned to the community, whenever they invite the community, this school doesn't belong to me. This school belongs to community. So if you want to make this school improve, that you need to come and help us. So yes, the community will come help parents and teachers to cook for the Islamic gathering. And community always come for helping with the donation, which is very important, fundraising and stuff. And then the important part here, the liaison, Mr. Suyat, the school principal, say, also part of our community involvement, we have our community development program. This also I mentioned it before, in which we deploy our 12th grade students to the community for 21 days. I mentioned before 10 days, but here 21 days. We involve parents in this program because we believe parents will be better accepted than we as teachers. We involve community leaders in order to equip our students with the real life skills. So the student actually go to the rural area, they help the community because they have the religious background. So they help the community with the janazah praying. They help the community, the student, the 12th grade student, they help with the khutbah every Jumat. They help with the teaching kindergarten. And these all are school effort to involve the community or to serve the community. And in order to serve the community, the school also involving parents. So it's kind of like beautiful schema that the school has been doing. And this, Mr. Suyat, the school principal, he said that this program was pioneered by this school. And then after he has this program, he mentioned there are some other Islamic boarding schools also follow this kind of program. And the community mentioned in other interview quote, the community mentioned this community development, because community development is like KKN in Indonesia. This community development is more effective, much more effective than the college community development or KKN held by the university. So this means that this program is very, 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 very good, very effective for the Islamic boarding school program. So yes, part of this, even though I only mentioned involving parents, but behind that, we also involve the community. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you so much for the first speaker. And right now, we're gonna take a little break. Can I have Professor Dr. Ismunandar come up here in the front? We're gonna say thank you and have a little present for you.
Foto dulu dengan Pak serta ada semuanya.
Boleh foto bareng Pak? Iya. Pak Presiden.
One, two, three. One, two, three.
Radio IMSA, Radio IMSA.
Radio IMSA.
Radio IMSA.
Yuk, sana semuanya. Tangan dulu.
One, two, three.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
So yeah, everyone's welcome to get the snacks and drinks to go there anytime you want. And then we'll follow up 1 minute on the next speaker. All right, so continuing on with the next agenda. So our next speaker is Ervan Hindi. He's a master's student from University of Illinois, and who'll be presenting basket currencies effect in middle-income countries debt management, a case study of Indonesia. So here we are.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for accepting my abstract to be presented in this session. Okay, I'd like to present my research related to debt management and the correlation with the basket currencies. Okay, today debt management is becoming a big issue in Indonesia. As you can see, this is the repayment plan for Indonesian public debt. Until 2055, we still have to repay around 256 trillion rupiah. Yeah, and then within 5 years, for the next 5 years, we still have to repay. I don't know how to calculate all of these numbers. Very huge, around 1,000 trillion rupiah we have to pay. I don't know. It's very painful because I work for the Ministry of Finance in the debt management office. When I look at these figures, it's very how come? Okay. Next, we are facing with this excessive debt. We have to repay, and also we are exposed to the another risk about the exchange rate risk, because some of the our government debt is also consists of another sorry we also have debt, public debt in another currency that I want to highlight in my research. So actually now the government has the legal caps 3%. We cannot exceed the annual deficit more than 3% of the GDP, and then for the debt to GDP ratio we cannot exceed more than 60% of the total debt to GDP ratio. Okay. By August 2017, we have to service the by August 2017. This is the debt to GDP ratio around 27%, and roughly around 40% it is in a foreign currency. Okay, the objective of this, so but I believe that we still have a chance by understanding the opportunity when we have to issue the government bonds during the entire years, during our year, when is the best time to issue the bonds. So if we can analyze the behavior, the time series behavior of the basket currencies in I believe that we can take opportunity to fulfill the government spending. In my research, I use after regressive and moving average model to analyze the time series behavior of the LIBOR rate and also the treasury bonds issued by the foreign government in these three currencies: US dollar, GPY, and Euro. And also I will use the autoregressive distributed lags model to analyze the correlation between these three currencies to the government of Indonesia issued bond. Okay. Yeah, this is the research design. I used just like I mentioned before. This is the source of the data that I use for this research. I got it from St. Louis Fed, and for the LIBOR rate for the treasury bond, I got from OECD, and for the yield rate of the government of Indonesia's issued bond, I got it from the Ministry of Finance data. This is the model that I use for this research. I use the like I said before, the ARIMA model to figure out the behavior of the yield of treasury bonds and LIBOR 6-month rate. So I use the autoregressive. This is the autoregressive part. How persistent is the movement of the LIBOR rate and the yield curve, and also this is the moving average to measure how smooth is the time series data. And this is the autoregressive distributed lags model. On the left hand side is the the yield curve of the government of Indonesia issued bonds. This one is in Indonesian rupiahs, and this is for just example for the USD denominated government bonds. And I use for the for the bonds in Indonesia rupiah, I use all of the LIBOR rate and the treasury bonds, but for the foreign exchange denominated government bonds, I only use for the US dollar. I only use the LIBOR rate and also the yield of the treasury bonds. In, for example, for the US, the yield of the treasury bonds issued by the Fed, or the US Treasury, I mean, and also the previous value of the government issued bond in US dollar. Okay, I will just go to the. Okay, this is the some of the. This part is the historical result, and then this is the cyclical component of each result. This is for the. I'm gonna just skip and go straight to the result. For the government, of Indonesia issued bonds, as we can see, this chart, this graph, I mean, is comparison between the sample and the estimation. So based on the so the result is very close to its own value. Is not strongly correlated with other currency. This is the main result in my research. Okay, so we are not very exposed to the other currency. Actually, we have like the government, the investor that want to buy the government bonds is not considering the movement of other currency bonds and LIBOR rate. Yeah, and it also has the same behavior with the US dollar denominated, the GBY and the euro denominated. One of the weakness on my research is about for the euro bonds. The government has just issued the bonds in 2015, so I don't have enough data to analyze. Yeah, and the conclusion based on the R square is it gives very quite good result. I haven't enough time to do the forecast to compare the result with the current value. How far is the difference? Because this data, this research finished at August, so I think but the data okay. I don't have enough time to do the forecast to measure the result. And another research another interesting point. I think we can also use or apply this result for the Sharia government bonds, because we are trying to expand the portfolio of the government. Thank you very much.
I'm not too familiar with the topic that you're talking about, and there is one thing that I did not quite understand about the significance of LIBOR rate. What does LIBOR mean? And what is the significance of this rate and the currency effect, if there are any?
Thank you. The LIBOR rate is the reference rate. For example, if you want to no, I cannot use this. I don't have any slide that explain about the LIBOR rate. But LIBOR rate is reference rate if you want to take a loan, for example in GPY, or with the maturity within that will be mature within 6 months. We can use this rate. This is the reference plus the margin.
Okay,
Yeah.
so every 6 months it will be updated?
Yeah. No. I mean within if you want to borrow money in GPY, for example, if the LIBOR rate is 1%, so within 6 months we have to repay 1% divided by 2, yeah. So around 6.5% for the next 6 months. And then it will be updated. So this kind of reference I'm comparing. So yeah, as the investor we have to compare whether we have to buy the government bonds or just put it on the money market.
Thank you.
Is there any policy implications or recommendations based on the result for the government?
Yeah, that's interesting question. I work for the Minister of Finance right now, and when I asked to my colleagues about how they how is the pricing strategy when they want to issue, they told me that they cannot disclose because it is very top secret, because if everybody know about this, they will take benefit. But when I give my research to them, oh, this is interesting. When you come back after the study, you have to present this your research. Yeah, because actually they are not considering about this. Yeah, they just use another method.
They use some other method.
Yeah, some other method like bootstrapping. Yeah, bootstrapping. Yeah, and they did. Yeah, they said that I have to present this when I come back to office after finishing my study. Yeah, so I think it will be applicable.
Do you have any more questions from the judges? Do you have any questions from the audience? We still have time for 2 more minutes.
I have a question. If for Islamic-based bonds, there's a consensus like LIBOR rate, but only for Islamic bond. Like in Islamic bond, you have profit sharing, and there's a myriad of ways. But is there like a standard? Okay, if you're going to issue a bond, and then your return rate is going to be like this, the standard is like this, so your return has to be like a little bit higher than that to be acceptable for the market. Is there any standard like LIBOR for Islamic bond?
Yeah, that's another important question for this research, because this research is also applicable for when the government want to issue bonds in Sharia-based bonds. Yeah, it's like I said before. We can the government to generate bonds with the Sharia-based. Yeah, the government has to measure and also has to ensure that these projects that will be financed with these bonds will be able to repay, will be able to service the bonds at the same rate with the conventional market. Yeah, but yeah, the government usually in Sharia bonds, we don't right now we don't have any. I don't think that in the world we have the LIBOR rate for the Sharia. We just can use this reference rate to plus some margins to make it more interesting for the investor. But yeah, we have to give like interesting margin for the investor. so they want to. Okay. Thank you, Sir.
Thank you so much for that time. So now our third speaker, we have Ludwig Minardi from Master Student in American University. So please welcome. We'll be talking about peluang dan tantangan perpajakan di Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dewan Juri yang terhormat dan perwakilan dari Kidubes dan hadirin sekalian. Pertama-tama saya mau izin, gitu ya. Saya pengen tampil unik, pakai bahasa Indonesia, gitu ya. Tadi dulu serta bahasa Inggris, gitu kan. Dan juga sebagai kebanggaan saya, gitu ya. Pakai bahasa Indonesia.
Alasannya tuh.
Karena tadi Pak Ismo tadi kan bilang kan salah satu programnya adalah memasyarakatkan bahasa Indonesia.
Boleh deh, boleh.
Saya Oke, nama saya Ludwig Minardi, ya. Saya master program di American University di ambil program taxation, dan background saya adalah kebetulan government officer di Ministry of Finance Indonesia, dan ini adalah program scholarship dari Departemen Cina. Oke. Jadi saya bahas tentang perpajakan tentunya ya, karena berdasarkan background saya. Yang pertama kita bahas latar belakang. Jadi memang ini satu hal yang penting ya, karena perpajakan itu adalah sumber source paling utama di Indonesia. Dan kita tahu sekarang pemerintah sekarang sedang kuat-kuatnya mengendorse pembangunan fisik gitu ya, dan seterusnya. Dan ini menjadi latar belakang dari paper saya ini. Nah, kemudian juga, ini sudah sebutkan, saat sekarang kita slide-nya mana nih Pak? Kita berada di 2017, target kita 80%. Jadi Bang, 100% dari APBN adalah tulang punggung dari pajak. Dan ini jadi common sense di mana-mana gitu ya, karena pajak adalah penerimaan terbesar dari sebuah negara. Namun ternyata dari potensi yang harusnya kita dari pajak itu, ternyata ada isu atau problem yang dihadapi oleh pemerintah kita atau dihadapi oleh tax authority. Dalam hal ini Direktur Jenderal Pajak, di mana saya tahu bahwa selama kurun waktu 2008 sampai dengan sekarang, bahkan sampai dengan 2017 gitu ya, kondisi terakhir penerimaan kita adalah 70%. Dan saya pikir sampai berapa hari ini nggak mungkin sampai 80%. Jadi kita berputar pada angka ini untuk tahun sekarang ini. Sebenarnya kita telah memenuhi target di 2008 itu sekali-kalinya gitu ya. Pada waktu itu kita ada namanya tax reformation ya. Jadi itulah awal-awal di mana kita gaungnya sangat luar biasa. Oke. Dan ternyata juga ya ini fenomena kita lagi ya. Ternyata kita dengan potensi yang sedemikian besar gitu ya, ternyata kita penerimaan pajak paling rendah di antara negara-negara yang ada. Ini dirilis oleh Bank Dunia di 2014. Dan terlihat di tax ratio ya, di mana tax ratio kita paling rendah. Padahal pemerintahan kita yang sekarang ini mentargetkan gitu ya, 2019 akan meraih tax ratio sampai 16%. Sementara faktanya adalah seperti ini. Nah, itu evaluasi bagi pemerintah juga nanti. Apakah bisa gitu ya 2019? Oke. dan juga basis pajak. Nah, ini jadi masalah. Kita belajar bagaimana Amerika ketika launching tax plan-nya gitu ya. Mereka mencoba memperlebar basis pajak di sini. Dan ini juga harusnya menjadi contoh di Indonesia. Ternyata basis pajak. Jadi ibaratnya kalau di kita itu seperti berburu di kebun binatang, Pak, Bu, gitu ya. Jadi itu aja yang dikejar. Gitu. Padahal potensinya adalah besar. Kita sedang ke arah sana sebenarnya. Jadi terdaftar di jumlah wajib pajak di Indonesia itu ada sekitar 30 juta. Itu emang meningkat gitu ya. Meningkat. Tapi ternyata itu tidak cukup mengcover penerimaan kita. Karena dari 30 juta itu yang terdaftar 30 juta tapi kesadaran gitu ya. Kesadaran untuk membayar pajaknya, compliance-nya itu kurang. Oke, ini dari basis pajak. Oke, metode penelitian saya, ini kebetulan saya di program saya tidak ada tesis gitu ya. Jadi saya nggak seperti teman-teman tadi yang berdua tadi luar biasa, saya applause banget. Pakai data pakai penelitian yang serius gitu ya. Saya serius juga sebenarnya. Agak. Jadi penelitian saya berdasarkan studi analitis ya dan juga history. Karena kita melihat di posisi kita di 2008, bagaimana kita bisa berhasil 108,sekian% kita meraih target. Gitu ya. Itu satu-satunya satu-satunya ya dari beberapa tahun ini historis, dan juga dengan mengkaji dan menganalisis data ya. Jadi nggak pakai statistik, nggak, saya cuman ya dari data-data primer dari dipublish sama DJP. Dan saya dapati bahwa ada 3 komponen sebenarnya yang saya temukan di masalah ini gitu. Yang pertama trust dan distrust. Jadi momentum DJP ketika 2008 itu saya lihat adalah trust. Ketika itu DJP melaunching tax reformation. Pada waktu itu masyarakat dan dunia usaha begitu baik merespon, gitu ya. Sampai mereka berbondong-bondong. Waktu itu dengan kita merilis tax policy, ada pemotongan pajak lah, gitu ya. Jadi tax amnesty, oke, 2008. Lupa saya bahasa Inggris saya.
Pemampunan.
Pengampunan pajak. Oke, jadi pada saat itu sedang naik-naiknya DJP di mata masyarakat, ya, di individual atau di dunia usaha. Dan akhirnya dan di 2011 gitu ya. Momentum yang terbesar adalah bagaimana distrust masyarakat atau dunia usaha itu turun ketika kasus Gayus itu menguap. Ya, itu bisa dilihat bagaimana kemudian masyarakat, bahkan gitu ya, istri saya sendiri gitu, ketika naik kereta itu malu ditanya, dari mana, suaminya orang mana, orang pajak Pak. Oh, Gayus itu ya, gitu ya. Jadi sampai sedemikian besar gitu ya efek Gayus, gitu. Jadi distrust masyarakat itu udah luar biasa. Karena kalau boleh saya buka gitu, sebenarnya sebelum tax reformasi itu ini rahasia ya, jadi bagus ya. Jadi DJP itu posisinya memang luar biasa. Jadi sudah di mata masyarakat itu sangat jatuh lah gitu ya, karena ada semacam KKN dan seterusnya gitu ya. Dan ketika melaunching dengan di 2008 itu, maka dan kemudian law enforcement. Ya, ini juga penting karena di kita itu tidak seperti di US gitu ya. Kalau di US itu UMP itu takut Pak dengan orang pajak gitu ya. Tapi kalau di sana justru kita yang ayo silakan dengan servisnya yang menurut saya sudah cukup gitu. Tinggal sekarang kita menekankan di law enforcement. Dan yang ketiga ini ada behavioral economic effects. Jadi ada profesor dari Chicago University bahwa dia menyebutkan bagaimana orang itu menentukan sesuatu itu sudah nggak rasional lagi tapi irasional. Dan saya melihat ada 5 sebenarnya yang disampaikan oleh Profesor Talar itu penerima Nobel di bidang ekonomi. Yang pertama adalah saya lupa. Oke, yang saya lihat dari yang teori yang disampaikan oleh Profesor Tara adalah bagaimana kemudian masyarakat itu melihat sebagai ada loss aversion. Jadi wajib pajak itu merasa bertanya-tanya, saya bayar pajak itu benefit ke saya apa gitu ya. Saya akan rugi kalau saya bayar pajak tapi saya tidak mendapatkan langsung. Jadi beda dengan di Amerika. Kalau di Amerika kita ada tax return. Jadi ketika kita bayar pajak, dia akan mendapatkan cashback gitu ya. Kalau orang Amerika sini tahu kali ya. Iya, jadi cashback uang money. Tapi kalau kita tidak, kita dengan fasilitas dan seterusnya. Ini yang harus kita endorse dari pemerintahan untuk bagaimana kemudian wajib pajak ini, individu atau badan usaha bisa merasakan bahwa mereka tidak akan rugi ketika membayar pajak. Ya. Jadi mereka tidak akan rugi. Terus yang keempat adalah, yang kedua ada head behavior, ya. Jadi sikap yang dia itu latah. Jadi ketika WP sudah merasakan, mereka akan merasa secara berjamaah gitu merasa untuk mendukung program DJP. Mungkin itu. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Should I give a question in English or?
Go ahead.
I think in the US, the US works so hard to increase the tax collection. And in Indonesia, we have a high percentage of middle income and lower income, correct? Do you have you looked at various ways as a challenge of the government to collect taxes through innovative ways? For example, in the US, most of the fast food chain or bakeries, when they sell their products and out of the expiration date, they cannot sell it anymore, but they provide those leftover food or anything to the needy. Yeah. And at the end of the year, they gather all the receipts, and sometimes they have a big amount that they can file as a what do you call it?
Tax deduction.
Tax charity and so charitable. Yes. Has the government looked into these things? Because we have so many middle income and lower income.
Yeah.
And majority of the restaurants, everything around these classes of life.
Skip bahasa Inggris saja Pak. Agak terpancing saya. Oke, jadi memang ini masalahnya ini Pak. Jadi makanya mungkin pemerintah mengirim saya ke sini memang tujuan untuk itu. Jadi saya banyak belajar di sini bagaimana kemudian charitable contribution itu bisa membuat masyarakat itu bersemangat gitu ya. Pertama untuk sosial ya. Dan kedua juga dia bersemangat untuk kemudian mendukung pajak di sini. Dan di Indonesia sudah ada sebenarnya Pak. Ada namanya seperti juga tax deduction gitu. Jadi ketika kita berpartisipasi dalam sosial atau zakat atau apa kita gitu ya, itu bisa sebagai pengurang. Dan itu efeknya memang luar biasa dari sisi ekonomi. Jadi saya belajar di sini bagaimana ada perusahaan namanya tax exempt organization, itu luar biasa tumbuh di sini. Dan itu salah satunya adalah yang didukung oleh kebijakan perpajakan di sini, Pak. Bagaimana orang-orang kaya di sini dengan rela begitu banyak menyumbangkan uang itu, ya, untuk menggrowthkan ekonomi dari sisi ini. Kemudian dia bisa juga sosial, oke. Kemudian dari pajak juga bisa, Pak. Artinya pajak itu mendukung itu, gitu ya. Jadi ada nah Indonesia sudah seperti itu sebenarnya. Cuman inilah yang kemudian kita fokusnya memang jadi apa ya? Kalau boleh saya bilang gitu ya, tax authority kita itu tidak melihat sisi itu. Jadi dia tidak melihat bahwa kalau ketika kita ini endorse untuk orang-orang supaya menyisihkan uang mereka untuk sosial, itu kan secara ekonomi akan tumbuh. Ekonomi tumbuh, terus kemudian WP juga akan semakin penerimaan juga semakin ini ya, terus wajib pajak juga akan bertambah. Cuman di sekarang ini kita melihat bahwa nanti sisi ini yang kurang nih kalau seperti itu. Itu PR kita sebenarnya. Jadi bagaimana kita melihatnya tidak hanya parsial satu sisi debat atau kredit saja gitu. Tapi bagaimana kemudian itu bisa meningkatkan growth di sisi lain yang dia menggenerate perekonomian, sehingga itu akan berkontribusi secara tidak langsung sebenarnya dan jangka panjang terhadap penerimaan negara. Akan banyak nanti orang yang kaya misalkan, atau banyak employee yang kemudian diikutkan di tax organization exam itu. Jadi itu PR kita ya. Mungkin ketika saya pulang bisa saya terapkan.
Amin. Makanya pakai bahasa Indonesia.
Oke. Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Leslie, for the speech. And then next we have Lydia, master's student from Webster University. We'll be talking about the factors that affect the competitive advantage in order to improve the market share. So please welcome Lydia. And just making sure for the next future speakers that timing is very strict.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sebelumnya saya mau bilang kalau my presentation is not very good enough, like kayak Mas Luli itu karena dia benar-benar like very concerned about the Kemenkyu because like this is my skripsi, like ini adalah skripsi saya, jadi kayak I don't think so that it's very good enough, like it's very huge or very good information. So I just want to try. Ini ada kayak studi kasus pada smartphone iPhone di Semarang. Data ini saya ambil saat saya ambil S1 saya tahun 2014 dan 2015. Aku nggak tahu kalau ada perubahan atau something else. Jadi permasalahannya itu adalah kayak market share. Rumusan masalahnya adalah market share atau khususnya produk iPhone itu mengalami penurunan pada tahun 2014-2015, dan kita akan cari kenapa masalahnya market share-nya itu turun. Terus
tahun berapa?
Tahun 2014-2015. Latar belakangnya itu adalah karena ini aku ambil datanya karena kebanyakan orang tahun segitu menggunakan Android, karena saat tahun 2014 itu like a lot people like more concern about smartphone karena lebih easy. Habis itu kayak dan harganya itu masih yang selangit banget mahal. So tahun 2014-2015 itu mengalami penurunan. Ini juga ada pertumbuhan pendapatan labanya juga. Ini pas tahun Q1 awalnya naik, terus akhirnya turun karena mungkin juga pengaruh dari Steve Jobs, because dia meninggal, terus mereka mengira kalau tidak akan ada inovasi yang lebih baik karena terakhir itu pas Steve Jobs itu like iPhone 4. Habis itu setelah itu kayak the innovation itu nggak terlalu very good enough, kayak masih agak stagnan. Ada inovasi tapi nggak sebagus yang dulu. Nah mungkin gara-gara itu nggak terlalu naiknya, nggak terlalu tinggi sekarang. Nah terus saya melihat sampel kayak ada pertanyaan penelitian apakah kualitas produk itu kayak kualitas produk berpengaruh terhadap keunggulan bersaing, atau kayak apakah inovasi produk itu berpengaruh terhadap keunggulan bersaing, and apakah harga berpengaruh terhadap keunggulan bersaing, dan apakah keunggulan bersaing berpengaruh terhadap market share. Ini adalah kerangka pemikiran saya, jadi saya pakai SPSS kayak jadi kayak gini, itu kualitasnya, terus itu apakah berhubungan. Terus ini landasan teorinya, kenapa keunggulan bersaing, kayak keunggulan bersaing itu adalah kemampuan perusahaan untuk untuk advantage, like lebih unggul daripada perusahaan yang lain. Gimana caranya dia lebih unggul daripada perusahaan yang lain? Mereka harus punya keunggulan bersaing, apa yang mereka punya, apa yang mereka tonjolkan, apa yang berbeda dari mereka. Habis itu I'm so sorry about this one, masih alay. Ini kayak kualitas produk adalah kayak keunggulan produknya, apakah keunggulan bersaing perusahaan dapat dengan membangun kualitas produk yang ditawarkan. For example kayak apakah kualitasnya itu setara, is that worth it for me to buy it or not? Because like kadang orang tuh akan membeli itu gak hanya berdasarkan the brand, tapi juga ngeliat of the quality, is that good or not? And then this is like the innovation of the product, like haruskah aku beli a new phone because it's like if like there's not a lot of innovation, why I must buy a new phone? Kayak I still can use this one, why I must use another one? Why I must buy more for taking one? And then ini kayak ada yang H2-nya, kayak semakin tinggi derajat inovasi produknya yang dilakukan, maka semakin tinggi derajat keunggulan bersaingnya. Jadi kalau the innovation is very big now, so ada keunggulan bersaingnya. Terus ini tentang harganya. Harganya itu kayak misalkan biasanya orang itu kayak namanya juga ekonomi, jadi kayak semakin rendah mereka pasti akan mau beli gitu kan. Namanya juga orang pasti lebih nyari murahnya, tapi murah tapi juga bagus. So di sini harga saya adalah semakin rendah harga yang ditetapkan, semakin tinggi keunggulan bersaingnya, karena kayak dengan harga yang murah dan you can give like a good quality, all people want to buy that. And then this is the market share. Like market share adalah besarnya bagian penjualan yang dimiliki pesaing di pasar yang relevan. So like for example like market share, like misalkan di dalam sebuah pasar itu ada 3 produk atau 3 big company, like berapa persen lah yang menguasai market share-nya. Kalau di Indonesia sendiri itu kebanyakan ada perusahaan kayak perusahaan kayak gasoline kayak Pertamina, atau kayak Pertamina itu kayak memonopoli, jadi kayak nggak ada saingan yang kuat kayak atau kayak PLN, like so kayak 100% itu adalah market share-nya mereka. Tapi kalau pada barang-barang kayak teknologi atau semuanya itu kayak masih ada yang menguasai, ada yang enggak, ada big company, ada yang enggak. Oke, before ini adalah H4 saya, kayak semakin tinggi keunggulan bersaing, selalu bersaing, maka semakin besar market share yang didapat. Dan ini kayak main kerangka dan indikator penelitian, jadi kayak kayak for example kayak itu kualitas produk, gimana caranya aku bilang kalau itu kualitas produk itu adalah bagus, aku lihat dari gimana kinerja the performance of iPhone, apakah dia baguskah atau lemotkah atau gimana. Dan kedua itu daya tahannya, apakah dia daya tahannya kuat, bisa dipakai selama 1 tahun, 2 tahun atau hanya cuma 6 bulan aja. Atau di sini adalah keandalan like itu bisa diandalkan atau something like that. Terus kayak ada lagi yang namanya inovasi produknya, itu kayak gimana dengan desainnya, apakah desainnya itu ada perubahan atau enggak dengan yang tahun lalu, saya maksudnya yang another for kayak iPhone yang sebelumnya sama yang sesudahnya, apa sih perubahannya, apa cuman bedanya cuman ukurannya aja atau dia menggunakan yang lain atau feature-nya. Biasanya kalau iPhone itu lebih ke feature, so like mereka menambahkan feature, apakah itu lebih baik atau tidak, atau membuat orang lebih tertarik untuk beli. Karena kalau kita lihat iPhone paling kan bedanya itu juga bentukannya mau sama, cuma sekarang aja yang ada iPhone X they make it very different, that is different. And then ada harganya, apakah harganya itu terjangkau atau enggak, apakah itu harganya sangat berbeda dengan harga-harga yang pesaingnya atau enggak. Karena kalau biasanya harganya lebih kayak 2 kali lipat, orang-orang ada berpikir kenapa aku harus beli ini produk daripada produk yang lain kalau aku bisa mendapatkan suatu barang yang sama. Jadi pertimbangannya. Terus saya di sini kayak metodologi penelitiannya kayak pakai kayak populasi and sample, pakainya yang agen-agen penjualan smartphone. Jadi aku nanyain mereka gimana sih kalau saat mereka beli, apa yang mereka tanyakan, terus apa yang dijawab. Terus jumlahnya di 100 orang, jadi kayak aku menanya ke semua 100 agen di Semarang. Terus aku pakai metode penelitiannya, ini semua uji-uji yang di STSS. Dan kayak ini kayak hasil pembahasannya, kayak validitasnya, kayak misalkan R hitungnya kayak R square-nya semua juga dinyatakan valid. Terus kita semuanya ini kayak regresi dan sebagainya. Dan ini kayak because waktunya nggak cukup, jadi aku skip kayak implementasinya. Jadi kayak dari semuanya, kayak di sini dilihat dari nilai koefisien pengaruh. Jadi kualitas produk itu berpengaruh dengan keunggulan bersaing. Jadi semakin besar nilai signifikannya, jadi mereka di sini H0 saya di bawah, jadi H1 saya diterima. Jadi kayak kualitas produk itu emang mempengaruhi keunggulan bersaing, dan keunggulan bersaing itu mempengaruhi market share. Dan kedua itu adalah inovasi produk juga sama, dia mempengaruhi keunggulan bersaing dan market share-nya juga. Harga juga sama, mempengaruhi keunggulan bersaing dan market share. Oke. Dan udah itu ini saya skip keterbatasan penelitian saya. Jadi kayak karena variabel analisisnya belum memberikan kontribusi yang sempurna, maka banyak variabel yang dapat mempengaruhi market share karena masih kurang, dan dalam melakukan penelitian hanya beberapa bulan saja. Jadi kayak nggak bisa yang very good enough, pengambilan datanya nggak terlalu bagus karena I just use it for my skripsi, my thesis is not very big deal. Dan penelitian akan data kayak inginnya kayak merasa kayak ada sebagian besar kayak cuma 59% untuk variabel yang mempengaruhi keunggulan bersaing, dan 23% berpengaruh keunggulan bersaing terhadap market share. Jadi kayak ada keunggulannya tapi nggak terlalu banyak kayak gitu, so still bisa dibuat lebih baik lagi. Oke, terima kasih.
saya pikir kenapa respondennya memilih respondennya penjual agen itu mungkin karena kebanyakan orang Indonesia belinya lewat situ ya. Kalau enggak, saya tanya kalau misalnya penelitiannya mau akan diaplikasikan di sini, karena kebanyakan yang di sini mungkin pesannya either lewat online atau lewat phone providers. Jadi dan jadi biasanya mereka kira-kira apa perubahan yang harus dilakukan baik dalam sisi respondennya atau mungkin pertanyaan surveinya.
Oke, terima kasih, itu pertanyaan yang bagus. Kenapa saya memilih agen? Karena di sini karena kalau saya nggak memilih agen, kalau misalnya pakai yang agen besar itu jadi sampel saya jadi lebih simpel, cuman like 15 orang, nggak terlalu banyak. Dan kalau karena saya di Semarang itu they don't have very big company, nggak banyak perusahaan yang benar-benar menjual distributor, jadi paling cuma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, jadi bisa very bias untuk penelitian saya. Jadi saya milih agen-agen kecil biar penelitian saya bisa lebih meluas gitu. Terus kalau yang di sini mungkin untuk kedepannya saya mungkin lebih langsung ke konsumennya, karena di sini konsumen itu lebih pintar. Jadi kayak usually like they buy from online atau dia udah dari awal dia udah cari-cari tahu sendiri, terus di sana nih aku mau beli ini, dan mereka nggak nanya-nanya lagi karena aku udah tahu banyak informasi dan mereka juga udah tahu harga-harganya apa aja, jadi mereka kesana udah tahu apa yang mau kita beli. Jadi mungkin kedepannya kalau di sini lebih ke mungkin like more concern about konsumen who buy it from kayak langsung konsumennya, and then gimana responnya terhadap barang yang mereka beli, apakah worth it atau enggak.
Ya sedikit follow up tadi, yang grafik tadi tapi global itu ya, bukan Indonesia.
Oh, ya yang grafik itu masih yang global, jadi saya mau meneliti apakah ada kesamaan di Indonesia atau enggak. Oh, oke.
Sekarang masih ngerjain itu
Apa, mas skripsi?
Masternya?
Ya, ini masternya saya masih.
Ya. Jadi antara produk dengan konsumen, kalau mencari market share itu ada namanya teknologi product market fit. Ya. Kenapa misalnya produk itu jadi populer di satu segmen, karena si
Excuse me, bisa nggak kedengeran soalnya.
Nggak kedengeran, oke.
Dengar sekarang ya?
Iya.
Jadi saya mau nambah aja, kalau misalnya nanti akan melakukan research, benar, saya setuju untuk mendatangin konsumen, ya. Nah, satu hal nanti kalau misalnya sempat baca bukunya Clay Christensen, ya, itu beliau punya teori mengenai produk inovasi, ya. Salah satunya adalah beliau mencoba membuat hubungan antara teknologi sama customer jobs to be done, ya. Kenapa misalnya kita meng-hire iPhone or Android device, ya. Kalau mungkin di Indonesia lebih cenderung ke arah sosial, misal social prestige dan segala macam. Tapi semuanya itu adalah ketika kita akan memakai suatu produk karena ada permasalahan di hidup kita yang kita akan solve gitu. Kenapa misalnya kita beli mobil, ya karena kita harus bertransportasi dari A ke B gitu ya. Jadi siapa yang bisa meng-answer atau yang membuat fit antara produk dengan keinginan masyarakat, itulah yang bisa yang punya banyak market share-nya. Karena market share juga gini aja, saya bisa misalnya iPhone itu slash the price half, si Apple itu bisa beli market share, tapi it's not sustainable, benar kan? Ya. Jadi bersaing, tadi kan bilang harga juga kan, ya, harga sebenarnya kan itu kan value sebenarnya kan. Jadi si orang itu akan beli kalau misalnya, oh ya value-nya is $800 gitu, dia dapat $800 worth of product, ya kan? Jadi dilihat dari value-nya itu gitu. Jadi itu aja, saya mau nambahin aja, apa kalau nanti riset ke konsumen, kenapa mereka alasan membeli satu produk tersebut gitu. Ada alasan sosial, ada alasan fungsional, ya, ada, dan ini aja kalau misalnya punya waktu baca bukunya Clay Christensen, profesor dari MIT.
Terima kasih masukannya, mau baca juga, terima kasih.
Thank you, Lydia. So next, we're gonna skip to have a speech by Dr. Asnul Bahar, and then after that we have more continuation of the speakers. And then just a reminder, if the audience can fill out the attendance sheet, we're gonna have a door prize later at the end.
Wow.
So yeah, make sure to fill out. All right.
Ini door prize-nya. Sama ini.
All right, so following on with Dr. Asnul Bahar, he's going to talk about career after college, alumni share tips for students. So with Dr. Asnul Bahar, he is a principal consultant in petroleum engineering and worldwide business development manager at Kelkar and Associates, based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His specialization is in the area of integrated reservoir modeling and flow simulation study. His responsibilities include consulting, training, and software development. He has performed numerous full field consulting studies, taught short industrial classes, and managed software development for worldwide clients. These works have put him as the team leader in integrating data from geological, geophysical, petrophysical, and engineering disciplines to come up with the representative reservoir models used for building full field development plan. With international exposure, Dr. Bahar has adapted to various working conditions, developed high communication skills, and quickly learned for new challenges. While performing his duties, Dr. Bahar has got the opportunities to fulfill one of his youth dreams, to see the world. He has visited more than 30 countries, where some of them were repeated several times. So Dr. Bahar earned his BS degree in 1988 in mechanical engineering from Institute Teknologi Bandung, Indonesia, MS in 1994, and PhD in 97, both in petroleum engineering from University of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So he has worked for Schlumberger, wireline and testing, 88 to 92 as field engineer, with assignment in Australia, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, and Indonesia. And he's the research assistant in geostatistical reservoir modeling and flow simulation in University of Tulsa, 1992 to 1997. And Schlumberger GeoQuest Reservoir Technology, 1997 to 1998 in Denver, Colorado as reservoir simulation. So currently, he's with Kelkar and Associates as a principal consultant and instructors for short industrial courses. So with that, I'll welcome to Dr. Asnul Bahar. And yeah.
Thank you. Should I speak in English or should I speak in Indonesian?
No matter what.
Arabic, we are in trouble. Not only you, but me as well. Okay. So let me just find out from you, who is doing the BS degree here in the US? BS degree. Okay, 1, 2. From the others? All are in Indonesian? Okay, so if I assume most of us, when we come here and we do BS in Indonesia, we are more comfortable in Indonesia.
Yes.
Yeah. But when you start here, especially if you start here from high school, and then at least BS degree, then probably you're more comfortable with English. Okay. So I don't mind to speak English. I don't mind to speak Indonesian as well. So let me just speak Indonesian because most of you are more basically come from Indonesia as your BS degree. And that's basically my guide. And then you can see if I speak in English, you can see that my English is not like all the people that has high school here. It is still like those English. Oke. So, jadi lebih baik saya ngomong bahasa Indonesia aja. Gitu. Dan boleh mungkin nanti di tengah-tengahnya campur boleh. Okay. Pertama kali terima kasih untuk ISO yang telah mengundang saya untuk sharing experience. Jadi di sini formatnya mungkin yang lebih enak kalau kita bebas saja, nanti kalau ada yang langsung ingin ditanyakan silakan. Ini Bapak Ibu juri kan nggak nulis kan, mejanya kan ditinggal, berarti agak aman sedikit gitu. Ya.
Kalau mau ditulis bisa mas?
Nggak, jurinya mundur semua loh di sini, jadi kita bisa agak ini. Terus tentang waktu, kalau memang dibutuhkan karena saya lihat agak delay ya, jadi tolong saya di stop aja. Karena kalau dilihat dari resume saya tadi, ya salah satu hal yang saya lakukan dalam 15 tahun terakhir adalah mengajar. Namanya orang ngajar, kalau dibiarin ngomong terus. Ya, jadi harus di stop. Jadi lebih baiknya nanti kalau memang sudah waktunya silahkan kita stop. Dan kebetulan juga saya sebenarnya sedang membantu tim field trip. Ini barusan datang dari ice skating arena, nyampe ke sini dan jam setengah, janjinya 1:04 saya udah harus balik ke sana untuk mereka akan lanjut ke jalan ke Red Rock. Jadi akan dilanjutkan dari ice skating kemudian sightseeing ke Red Rock untuk tim yang outdoor. Sayangnya ice skatingnya seharusnya diadakan di lake, tapi ternyata belum frozen. Jadi terpaksa dipindah ke indoor. Ya, tapi mereka semua happy. Ya, tadi jadinya ada untung dikasih juga pakai walker, jadi ada disable skater gitu tadi. Jadi banyak juga yang belum bisa masih bisa pakai disable. Oke. Anyway, untuk top session pada hari ini, mungkin salah satu yang bisa saya sampaikan, yang bisa saya sumbangkan adalah apa yang menyampaikan pengalaman saya sampai kepada karir yang saya sampai saat ini. Oke, dalam waktu singkat kita akan coba untuk menyampaikannya. Mungkin saya taruh jam di sini biar saya sendiri ngeliat. Ini trik saya kalau ngajar biasanya gitu. Oke, jadi saya bisa tahu. Intinya, jadi saya akan memulai dengan kesimpulan lah. Ya. Apa yang perlu kita lakukan untuk bisa kita mencapai pekerjaan dengan hasil yang sebaik-baiknya dan pada saat yang bersamaan bisa memberikan kepuasan untuk kita sendiri. Oke. Nah, seperti yang disampaikan Ustadz Samsi Ali kemarin pada waktu kultum tuh entah berapa 5 menit 7 menit di sholat maghrib kemarin, dream on, ya. Jadi kita harus mimpi, okay. Dan itu saya rasa sangat benar sekali. Kalau kita ingin mencapai sesuatu, kalau kita nggak tahu apa yang ingin kita capai, nggak ada arahnya, Pak. Jadi kalau gitu, untuk bisa membuat kita dan merasa mencapai sesuatu nantinya, ya kita harus tahu saya itu mencari apa. Dari situ mimpilah, oke? Mulailah dengan mimpi. Mau setinggi apapun yang namanya mimpi nggak ada batasnya, terserah. Tapi nanti kita harus tanggung jawab sampai seberapa jauh kita bisa mencapai mimpi itu. Tapi sekurang-kurangnya kalau mimpi aja nggak berani, gimana mau mencapainya? Karena saya nggak tahu saya itu mencari apa. Gitu. Dan itulah sebenarnya yang juga saya terapkan pada saat kira-kira saya seusia Bapak Ibu. Mungkin agak lebih muda, saya ya. Jadi pada saat saya kira-kira kuliah tingkat 3 di Bandung, itu sekitar tahun 85, saya sering dengar omongan kakak saya. Ya, dia cerita, dia udah hampir tamat kuliah waktu itu. Dia kuliah di Teknik Kimia ITB, beberapa temennya sudah mulai kerja. Yang dia bayar, yang pada waktu itu ya tahu sendiri seberapa sih gaji di Indonesia, ya. Ada yang cerita, oh, gue sekarang kerja dapat gaji gede banget, tapi kerjanya di hutan, kemana-mana harus naik helikopter, gitu. Tapi jadi jutawan. Di Indonesia kan waktu itu kan $1 itu masih 700 rupiah, ya, belum seperti sekarang. Jadi waktu itu dengan gaji $2.500 itu kita udah jutawan, sangat-sangat jutawan, oke? Okay? Dan itu saya cuma dengar selentingan, namanya juga masih kecil kan, masih dengar aja. Tapi pikir menarik juga nih kerjaan kayak begini, gitu. Nah, itu kemudian merambat sampai pada waktu saya mencapai ke tingkat 3, saya lihat salah satu perusahaan yang memberikan kesempatan seperti itu adalah perusahaan internasional namanya Schlumberger. Ya. Untuk bisa masuk Schlumberger, sayangnya harus bisa bahasa Inggris. Oke. Nah, dari situ saya lihat, saya mimpi. Makanya dalam resume tadi saya sengaja agak saya tambahin resume, saya bilang saya mencapai sesuatu yaitu mimpi pada waktu masa kecil. Ya saya kata masa muda lah ya. To see the world. I want to see the world. I want to go to everywhere. Oke. Nah, dari situ kemudian saya lihat kendala saya adalah bahasa Inggris. Saya bukan dari keluarga yang pergi ke luar negeri. Nggak ada di keluarga yang berbahasa Inggris seperti keluarga pada umumnya. Jadi dari situ saya bilang saya akan pergi. Ini harus saya usahakan. Ini cita-cita saya, ya, bekerja. Tapi kemudian saya harus bisa berbahasa Inggris. Dari sini saya katakan kalau gitu, hal kedua yang harus saya sampaikan adalah membuat strategi, ya, ngedesain. Bagaimana caranya supaya mimpi saya ini bisa terlaksana. Dari situlah strategi. Nah, strategi yang agak gampang pada saat itu adalah saya harus bisa berbahasa Inggris. Saya daftar bahasa Inggris. Ya, yang penting kalau baca buku bisa, tapi nggak bisa ngomong. Ya, mungkin Bapak Ibu ngalamin sendiri bagaimana rasanya bisa ini kalau membaca, tapi pasti ngomong itu nggak keluar itu kata-katanya. Gitu ya. Nah dari situ akhirnya saya nekat di Bandung. Kursus saya ambil kelas yang harus conversation, saingannya anak-anak SMA. Nah, mereka udah lebih sering, mereka udah pengalaman pergi ke luar negeri, orang kaya, ya. Jadi tapi kata pergi terbang ke Jerman harus gini ini, wah kita cuma dengerin aja, cuma belajar. Tapi ternyata dengan seperti itu saya berhasil interview dan diterima menjadi sebagai intern, ya. Dan pada waktu intern saya lihat juga kesempatannya. Ternyata untuk bisa dikirim ke luar negeri, saya harus melalui ujian. Nah, saya lihat minggu depan adalah keputusan kapan akan dikirim orang ini. Padahal kita masih 2 minggu di Indonesia aja dalam training. Dari situ saya lihat bahwa yang paling penting adalah performance di minggu pertama. Jadi dari situ kita pesan, strategi saya adalah saya harus menunjukkan bahwa I'm the best so I can go to reach this one. Oke? Nah, dalam ujian pertama itu saya belajar teman-teman yang lain, ada sekitar 12 orang, kayak 8 orang kita rombongan, mereka santai, oh ini mudah. Tapi pada ujian pada waktu itu mereka dapat 60, 70, saya dapat 95. Ya, dari situ ya dapatlah. Karena kenapa? Karena kalau untuk luar negeri saya harus pakai visa. Saya pikir nggak mungkin mengurus visa di hari ujian terakhir. Kalau ujian terakhir baru keputusan pasti nggak keluar visanya. Jadi keputusannya harus minggu ini. Makanya saya di situ banting tulang belajar. Karena bidangnya petroleum, padahal saya adalah mechanical engineer. Dan di situ lain semua. Jadi mau nggak mau saya harus belajar. Harus bisa lebih outstanding daripada teman-teman yang lain. Oke? Tanpa harus menyikut. Oke? Kita harus bersaing dengan sportif. Oke? Berhasil, dapat saya dikirim ke India. Bayangkan bagaimana perasaan kita sebagai mahasiswa umur 20 tahun dikirim ke India baru pertama kali keluar negeri. Ya udah pasti naik pesawat kan? Ya. Nah, jadi itu kebanggaan. Sorry, ini ada istri saya di sini. Dia ngebayangin kita udah sama-sama di Bandung dari dulu, jadi dia bisa ngebayangin what's going on gitu ya. Akhirnya dapat saya pergi ke India, dan kemudian saya juga lihat setelah berhasil dari India itu kemudian mereka berusaha untuk meng-hire dari pengamatan saya orang yang sudah di-hire sudah dimasuk internship itu kemungkinan besar akan diterima mendapat pekerjaan lebih besar lagi. Ya masuk akal saya pikir. Mereka udah tahu kita. Berarti kalau saya berhasil bikin performance yang baik di sini, itu akan bisa. Dari situ pun saya dengan sabar, walaupun di India saya dapatnya ke Calcutta. Ya, itu salah satu daerah yang pada saat itu paling parah. Ya, ngelihat jalan di India, kita jalan di pinggir jalan itu sapi kotorannya di mana-mana dan itu ditempel di dinding rumah karena mereka percaya itu sapi. Kalau perginya ke Mumbai atau ke Delhi mungkin agak berbeda, tapi Calcutta is something different gitu loh. Nah, akhirnya di situ pada saat saya pulang, saya dapat rekomendasi yang baik karena di situ yang dinilai bukanlah kemampuan teknikal saja. Teknik tentu perlu. Kalau orang ini nggak ngerti apa-apa kerjanya pasti udah dibuang dong, ya. Tapi itu nggak cukup. Ya, kemampuan teknik kita itu nomor satu istilahnya. Kalau kita akan di interview, itu GPA itu sebagai cut off. Ya. GPA dikatakan cut off-nya 3,5, kita 3,4 sama komputer dibuang. Berarti teknikal harus di atas 3,5. Tapi kalau udah di atas 3,5, apakah 3,99 berbeda dengan 3,5 ini? Enggak. Ya. Yang penting setelah itu approach kita dengan orang, bagaimana performance kita secara communication skill. Ya. Dari situ saya kembali berpendapat bahwa strategi saya adalah mempertahankan technical, ya. Tapi samping itu adalah bagaimana menjaga relationship dengan teman-teman di kantor pada waktu itu. Ya, hasilnya adalah secara diam-diam mereka sudah menerima saya untuk jadi pegawai, tapi nggak dikasih tahu. Mendadak aja pas tamat, tiba-tiba seminggu kemudian dia sekretaris telepon saya, Asnul kamu kemana aja? Ini kita hari Selasa depan kamu dikirim ke Australia. Kayak gitu kira-kira Pak. Ya, dan saya waktu itu lagi di Bandung, buru-buru harus langsung ngasih paspor ke Jakarta, kirim ini untuk visa ke Australia. Ya, dari situ mulailah perjalanan saya dan bagian daripada see the world tadi. Mulai dari Australia, kemudian Brazil, Argentina, Meksiko, Indonesia, akhirnya saya resign dan melanjutkan sekolah. Oke. Nah, dari sekolah kemudian sekarang bekerja. Mungkin satu tips atau saran saya buat Bapak Ibu semua, yang pertama adalah tentunya kemampuan teknik harus tetap dipertahankan. Ya, kita nggak mau saya katakan teknik itu artinya kalau bidang sesuai dengan bidang masing-masing. Ya, Bapak Ibu tahu sendiri kalau sosial yang perlu apa, itu nggak bisa kita hindarin. Jadi tetap menjadi alasan utama kenapa saya berada di sini. Kalau saya tidak memperkuat kemampuan saya di bidang itu, orang tidak lagi akan mempedulikan saya. Karena itu adalah tujuan yang utamanya. Namun yang kedua sekarang, bagaimana kita bisa mempertahankan keberadaan kita, ya, dengan bergaul secara baik sesama kolik, ya, di dalam kantor, tapi tetap kita berusaha untuk lebih baik daripada yang lain, ya. Bukan berarti kita sekarang selalu harus kita selalu harus bersaing, tapi yang sportif, ya. Nah, satu yang perlu kita pertimbangkan adalah di dalam melakukan hal-hal seperti ini, communication skill. Ya. Jadi ini sekarang ini yang kedua, yang pertama tadi adalah technical, tapi yang kedua adalah communication skill. Presentasi, apalagi kalau kita bersaing secara internasional, itu akan semakin lebih baik lagi. Jadi saran saya, semakin banyaklah ikut presentasi-presentasi seperti ini, ya. Karena dari situ kita akan belajar bagaimana memperbaiki kemampuan saya untuk menyampaikan sesuatu. Nah, di dalam menyampaikan sesuatu di dalam presentasi, apa yang perlu kita sampaikan? Yang perlu kita sampaikan pertama adalah tentunya kita harus mengerti sekali apa sih yang mau saya sampaikan. Jangan sampai orang bisa melihat dia kayaknya nggak ngerti ini apa yang diomongin, gitu. Apa yang dia omongin sendiri itu dia nggak terlalu menguasai. Jadi yang pertama kali kuasain apa topik yang akan saya sampaikan ini. Yang kedua, lihat pada waktu saya mencapai membuat presentasi ini atau pada waktu saya mempelajari ini, yang paling susah saya dapatkan itu di bagian mana? Dulu nih saya nggak pernah ngerti nih kenapa orang tuh begini. Nah, hal itulah yang akan kita sampaikan karena belum tentu yang lain juga ngerti tentang itu dan mungkin juga mereka mengalami hal yang sama dalam hal kesulitan pada waktu kita merasakan ini nih saya ini susah nih dulu gitu. Nah, kalau kita bisa mengungkapkan pada waktu kita presentasi, ini terjadi, sepertinya ini saya harus memperkuat ini dan kasih tahu bahwa halnya ini sehingga kita bawa, buat dalam bentuk cerita, ya. Dan kalau kita presentasi itu kualitas harus bagus, ya, simple, ya, banyak gambar, lebih baik, ya. Kemudian jangan membaca, ya. Kalau untuk presentasi itu jangan dibaca, tapi kita udah harus hafal sebenarnya apa yang akan saya presentasikan ini, tujuan saya ini apa. Ya, dari situ kita bisa lihat kesulitan, kita harus bisa nebak orang itu nggak tahunya di mana. Dan satu lagi, kalau saya presentasi sesuatu, kita juga harus mengatakan bahwa yang paling tahu tentang ini adalah saya. Oke? Tentang topik ini adalah audiens, saya harapkan mungkin walaupun mereka sebenarnya your advisor, tapi harus kita akui bahwa saya ini sebenarnya yang lebih banyak riset di sini. Jadi saya harusnya lebih tahu daripada mereka. Ya. Cuman kadang-kadang kan audiens bisa mencari celah-celah pertanyaan sehingga dia pengen tahu, dia tahu beneran nggak ini yang presentasi. Ya. Nah, kemampuan presentasi ini merupakan, kalau saya lihat teman-teman dari Indonesia dibandingkan dengan mahasiswa yang sudah mulai dari TK di sini, itu akan mengalami kesulitannya di situ. Ya. Kalau kita tanya bapak-bapak, mungkin Pak Eko, Mas Arif di sini yang udah sekian lama di Amerika, lihat mengawasi anaknya bagaimana membawa anak dari sejak TK, bagaimana cara pendidikan di sini, kita bisa lihat sendiri bagaimana mereka mendidik dalam bentuk presentasi. Pada waktu TK dibuat show and tell, suruh bawa mainannya atau apa yang dia suka di sekolah, kemudian dia bercerita dari sejak TK, ya. Jadi dan itu saya lihat juga dari anak saya tentunya, ya. Dari sejak pada waktu umur kelas 2 SD melakukan presentasi itu sudah bukan sesuatu yang susah, gitu. Sehingga kemampuan itu berlanjut. Nah, ini merupakan tantangan buat orang yang bukan dari Amerika. Datang ke sini, kita harus bisa mengalahkan mereka, gitu loh. Nah, berarti kan makin sulit, ya. Nggak gampang itu. Mereka udah biasa, udah terlatih membuat research paper itu udah sejak anak saya itu dari kelas 6 SD itu udah terbiasa dikasih tugas untuk membuat paper dan kemudian mempresentasikan dalam bentuk display semuanya dan harus pameran semua itu. Oke? Tapi sekarang kita datang ke sini, itulah alamnya, ya. Profesor kita mengharapkan kamu harus bisa seperti itu juga. Nah, kalau misalkan itu bisa dipertahankan dan kemudian dijadikan semacam challenge, ya, itu akan membantu terutama nanti pada waktu bekerja. Ya. Kalau bisa saya share salah satu experience dari teman saya, ya, saya mohon izin aja, dia nggak dengar sekarang, tapi ya kira-kira kalau ditanya nanti saya udah izin kok, gitu ya. Dia datang dengan background petroleum engineer dari Indonesia S1. Datang sekolah ke sini S2, ya. Pada waktu S2 itu saya lihat dia agak kesulitan, oke? Tapi berusaha keras untuk bisa ya tamat. Yang penting kita harus tamat, gitu ya. Nah, begitu tamat pulang ke Indonesia, harga minyak sedang hancur di sekitar tahun 94. Ya, pada waktu itu harga minyak sekitar $15 lah satu barel, oke? Jadi nggak ada perusahaan minyak yang mau nerima dia. Udah sekolah jauh-jauh pakai family foundation lagi, bukan scholarship dari, ya. Jadi kan biaya rumah tangga untung-untung aja, baik punya uang keluarganya nggak masalah. Tapi sampai di Indonesia nggak ada pekerjaan. Akhirnya dia kerja di mana? Dia bekerja di bank. Oke? Dia kerja di bank sama adik iparnya diketawain. Lu udah muntah darah sekolah master, larinya cuma masuk bank. Gitu. Kira-kira seperti itu kasarnya pendapat si adik ipar ini. Tapi ternyata dia punya communication skill yang luar biasa. Dia mulai meniti karir sebagai trainee di bank itu. Kalau kita lihat sekarang, dari sejak 15 tahun lalu lah kira-kira, itu dia selalu dalam deret CFO. Jadi di bidangnya dia itu ternyata disitulah dia menemukan passionnya dia. Oke? Dan background daripada master degree-nya itu tetap dipakai ya untuk dia bekerja untuk meng-approve bagaimana masalah peminjaman uang dan sebagainya macam pekerjaan orang bank ya. Tapi yang jelas kemudian dia berhasil membawa dirinya untuk kemudian menjadi orang penting di bidang itu. Ya, dan jadi kesuksesan itu mungkin tidak selalu harus sesuai dengan bidang akademik yang kita buat ini, tapi bagaimana kita menerapkannya ke dalam proses di dalam nantinya. Oke, kira-kira ada yang mau tanya? Iya.
Misalkan kayak yang tadi bapaknya tadi bilang, saya itu kan mau keterima di perusahaan ini, jadi sebelumnya cuma berteman dulu sama mereka, kayak membuat mereka lebih akrab, dan ternyata bapak sudah terima tapi nggak ada yang tahu secara diam-diam. Tapi saya lebih mau gimana caranya kita untuk keep relationship, karena misalkan kayak kita ketemu banyak orang yang very good, benar-benar bermotivasi, tapi kadang kita nggak tahu gimana cara kita untuk keep networkingnya selalu keep jalan, karena kan hidup kan mesti kan bapaknya selalu keliling kemana-kemana, terus banyak temen yang make a new friend, terus how you can keep that, gimana caranya bisa keep teman-teman itu dan bisa tetap masih bisa berkomunikasi, dan suatu saat kan aku percaya karir kita itu juga berhubungan dengan orang lain, kayak gimana kita misalkan ada peluang kerja, kita bisa tahu mungkin karena information from others, ini ada program bagus nih, kamu bisa masuk ke sini atau gimana, atau misalkan another person, tapi kayak how we can keep the relationship.
So inti utamanya kalau menurut saya adalah humble, dan nggak sombong, Humble, kita merasa bahwa pertama janganlah merasa bahwa saya orang yang paling top untuk melakukan satu pekerjaan. Ya. Pada kenyataannya setiap orang itu punya kemampuan masing-masing. Yang mungkin kita nggak tahu dia itu kelebihannya dia di mana. Jadi dari situ kita harus selalu merasa bahwa pertama di dalam melakukan sesuatu yang bohong. Karena kalau kita lakukan sesuatu yang bohong untuk menutupi sesuatu, apa yang kita lakukan selanjutnya itu bisa balik kena bumerang sendiri. Jadi tapi pada saat yang bersamaan kita kan juga pengen maju, kita ada saingan, ya. Jadi jangan bohong. Tapi mungkin kita juga nggak harus selalu volunteer information, Tapi jangan sampai kita mengatakan sesuatu, tapi yang kita katakan itu sebenarnya bohong, sehingga orang merasa tertipu setelah itu. Gitu. Tapi kalau kita tidak mengatakan itu, ya, jadi nggak kita volunteer untuk mengatakan ini, ya kita nggak harus merasa bersalah, ya, untuk melakukan. Jadi di dalam menjaga relasi seperti ini, kita sama-sama bersaing untuk mendapatkan pekerjaan. Kita tahu nggak semua yang hadir di sini akan dapat, Nah, ada beberapa orang itu akan merahasiakannya, kemudian kalau ini ditutup-tutupin, sehingga keadaan itu membuat ketajaman relationship di antara itu. Gitu. Jadi kita share sebatas yang kita katakan. Jangan sampai kita mengatakan sesuatu yang tidak benar, itu perlu, ya. Dan yang kedua, kita juga jangan menunjukkan bahwa sikap saya ini paling tinggi di ini, itu. Jadi jangan sombong. Itu salah satu yang harus kita tetap camkan. Karena kita harus ingat setiap orang punya kelebihan yang kita nggak tahu, dan mungkin itu belum kelihatan saat ini. Ada lagi? Ya. Mas Ludwi ya? Ya.
Alhamdulillah. Jadi karena dalam bahasa Indonesia jadi pede Pak.
Oke.
Dia luar biasa ini. Jadi emang saya sampai nahan untuk ke belakang untuk mendengarkan. Dr. Azul. Iya. Luar biasa dia motivasi dan juga pengalamannya gitu. Oke, jadi saya tertarik dengan tadi Prof.
Bagaimana kemudian pendidikan itu tidak selalu linear dengan kesuksesan.
Yeah.
Cuman saya ada pertanyaan, Dr. Asrul. Jadi
saya kebetulan government officer, gitu ya. Ketika saya nanti lulus ini, setelah ini, saya alhamdulillah sudah wisuda minggu lalu, gitu ya. Januari saya akan back for good. Di government officer itu kendalanya adalah ketika kita berkarir, kita terbatasi dengan kemudian ada aturan. Satu. Ada juga kemudian bos. Yang ketika kita pengen berkreasi, kita pengen berusaha berimprovisasi gitu ya, mentok duduk gitu ya. Bahkan ketika nanti kita beradu argumen dengan bos kita, dengan pimpinan kita atau dengan departemen kita cenderung takut, terutama di saya gitu ya. Karena kebetulan saya berdinas di Direktorat Jenderal Pajak. Dia itu mutasinya jauh-jauh dokter. Jadi kalau misalkan ketemu bos yang dia tuh subjektif, kita bisa dilempar dari tempat yang istilah saya Jakarta yang di mana di situ sampai ke Irian atau ke Aceh. Dari sisi Dr. Asrul yang kemudian di swasta, bagaimana menghadapi kondisi-kondisi seperti ini ketika kita itu pengen berimprovisasi tapi terbatas dengan kendala-kendala seperti itu.
Oke.
Tadi.
Ya mungkin pengalaman langsung saya agak berbeda karena ada perbedaan kebudayaan di antara swasta dengan pegawai negeri. Yaitu sesuatu yang mungkin nggak bisa kita pungkiri bahwa itu memang ada. Oke. Tapi apa yang dari pengalaman saya, apa yang pernah terjadi yang kira-kira istilahnya seperti dibuang seperti itu, gitu ya. Kasus saya pada waktu saya dipindah dari Meksiko, kemudian saya dipindahkan ke Indonesia. Ya. Sebenarnya pada waktu belum enak Pak, belum enak. Kenapa belum enak? Jadi pada waktu itu peraturannya adalah dan kayak katakan peraturan artinya yang normalnya. Kita akan bekerja 5 tahun kira-kira setelah mencapai level General Field Engineer. Kemudian akan ditransfer pulang. Kalau pulang itu artinya duitnya jauh Pak. Ya, jadi kalau zaman dulu itu ya kalau dalam persentase lah itu turun gaji itu 75%. Karena sekarang statusnya adalah home country status dan kita harus mengikut gaji sesuai dengan standar negara. Ya. Jadi pada saat itu saya di Meksiko belum mencapai puncaknya, tapi kemudian saya dapat disuruh pindah 2 hari sebelum saya mau cuti. Oke. Kemudian ya itu beneran semacam seperti apa ya, kita niatnya mau jalan-jalan pulang, tapi ternyata kemudian harus pulang for good dan gaji turun 75%. Oke. Apa alasannya? Kalau dicari-cari alasannya sebenarnya ya berarti ini ada orang yang nggak seneng sama kita, si bos ngerasa ini, walaupun di sana nggak ada masalah, tapi ternyata bos melakukan itu karena dia juga sedang terpaksa didesak oleh perusahaan Pemex, Petroleum Mexicanos, ya, yang mengatakan bahwa dia butuh orang Meksiko untuk bekerja di Meksiko pada saat itu, dan orang yang mereka dapatkan itu sedang ada di Indonesia, sehingga dicarilah orang Indonesia yang ada di Meksiko, dan orang itu adalah saya. Oke? Ya ditukar Pak. Ya. Nah sekarang apa yang kalau tadi si Mas Lutfi bilang dikirim ya dibuang ke daerah-daerah yang terpencil, apa yang bisa saya dapatkan? Yang pertama tentunya sekarang kita harus lihat apakah saya akan menerima ini atau tidak. Oke? Kalau saya akan menerima, berarti ya mau nggak mau menerima. Kalau saya nggak terima, option saya apa? Oke? Nah option saya sekarang berarti misalkan dalam keadaan ekstrim, saya cari kerjaan lain. Ya, dalam keadaan ekstrim. Tapi keadaan itu mungkin nggak selamanya juga lebih baik daripada option menerima. Nah, kalau misalkan ada kemungkinan bahwa oke, yang satu hal lagi yang juga saya rasa juga penting kita pakai sebagai motivasi, selalulah berpikir positif. Ya, positive thinking. Kalau istilahnya orang Jawa, selalu mikir untung begini. Ya, selalu udah kayak apapun ada untungnya. Yang dilihat itu selalu yang untungnya. Kadang-kadang itu orang melihat sebagai kita lemah, ya. Tapi sebenarnya kita memberikan kesempatan kepada diri kita sendiri untuk selalu berjiwa besar dan mengambil positif apa dari ini. Nah, kalau dari situ, kalau memang sekarang saya sedang dibuang, oke, dan saya merasa pilihan untuk bisa keluar ke tempat lain bukanlah option yang lebih baik daripada ini, mungkin pada saat ini ya saya katakan oke, saya akan ambil ini dan akan saya buktikan bahwa saya akan bisa lebih baik. Saya ambil contoh satu ponakan saya. Nah, ini adiknya Ibu Juri tadi yang di sini. Ini Ibu Juri ini ponakan istri saya nih, ya. Ini dia pada waktu tamat dari UI, terus kemudian tidak langsung mau kerja karena nggak dapat pekerjaan yang sesuai yang diinginkan. Ya, dia tahan, akhirnya saya katakan jangan gitu. Nanti di resumenya kosong, daripada resumenya itu menulis itu adalah menyetrika baju karena ada beberapa bulan cuma tinggal di rumah nyetrika baju. Lebih baik kerja di salah satu majalah, dia dapat pekerjaan yang dia mau tolak waktu itu sebagai editor untuk majalah, dia tamatan farmasi. Oke, jadi di situ dikasih kesempatan untuk mereview artikel-artikel gitu, tapi dia merasa itu nggak cocok. Gitu. Akhirnya dia tahan kerja di rumah. Terus membantu di rumah menyetrika. Saya bilang nggak bagus, mendingan kamu coba ini, ya. Dengan itu akhirnya dia coba bertahan 2-3 bulan dapat pekerjaan lebih baik. Jadi dari situ janganlah terlalu langsung menganggapan bahwa ini adalah end of the world, oke? Ya, mungkin kita bisa coba lagi. Ya. Ini udah jam 12, mungkin kasihan nanti kalau yang peserta terakhir kelamaan nanti. Gimana Bu Panitia? Mau ditambah boleh pertanyaan lagi atau bisa ini? Oh, jatahnya masih ada. Oke, kita bisa diskusi lagi. Silakan aja. Ya.
Oh, iya. Assalamualaikum Pak.
Waalaikumsalam.
Saya Taufik dari Columbus. Tadi berdasarkan pemaparan Bapak ada mana nih? Dari tadi itu saya melihat Bapak tuh sangat cekatan melihat situasi gitu. Terutama tadi ketika baru bergabung ke sebuah perusahaan terus langsung melihat situasi sehingga tahu strategi apa yang harus dilakukan selanjutnya. Itu kira-kira mendapatkan kemampuan seperti itu tuh gimana ya gitu kan?
Okay.
Tiba-tiba kayak forecasting gitu. Terus yang kedua, berdasarkan pengalaman Bapak kira-kira di umur berapa kita harus fokus pada satu bidang gitu sehingga kita itu menjadi tanda kutip karir kita gitu. Untuk kadang kita seringkali ingin bereksperimen. Ya, seperti saya juga, S1 saya apa, S2 saya apa, S3 saya beda-beda semua gitu kan. Karena kondisi dan juga passion yang seringkali berubah gitu. Kira-kira berdasarkan pengalaman juga mungkin pemantauan Bapak dari sebuah orang yang kenal, kira-kira di umur berapa sih kita harus bisa kayak ini loh harus karir ini loh yang harus kita fokus gitu sehingga kita tidak terlalu terlena dengan terus-terusan bereksperimen seperti itu.
Oke. Bagaimana caranya bisa beradaptasi melihat situasi itu kira-kira Pak ya? Kalau Bapak mendengarkan tadi di dalam resume saya tadi, ya salah satu hal yang juga saya tuliskan yang juga sebenarnya paling penting di dalam kita berkarir ini adalah pertama harus jadi tim, jadi apa namanya tuh sebagai team member gitu ya, team effort ya, yang itu jadi di situ kita harus tahu bagaimana menempatkan diri dengan sebagai tim. Yang kedua mau nggak mau kita harus quick learner. Nah kalau di dalam interview ya. Kalau saya menginterview orang sekarang, saya untuk di perusahaan saya, kalau setiap kali ada yang daftar pasti saya termasuk yang menginterview. saya akan asumsi bahwa saya cuma lihat dari resumenya ini, oh teknikalnya oke apa enggak. Kemudian pada saat interview itu yang akan saya kejar itu adalah sebenarnya masalah quick learning ini. Oke. Jadi dari situ saya akan menilai apakah dia bisa melihat apa nih masalahnya, dan itu tentunya mungkin susah untuk dipelajarin kecuali langsung kita pelajarin dan mengamati gitu Pak. Ya, kita mengamati sesuatu, oh ini kemungkinan seperti, jadi harus punya kemampuan analitik seperti itu. Bagaimana caranya? Ya susah juga saya mengatakan seperti apa itu latihan sebenarnya Pak. Ya, kita lihat dan mungkin juga kita lihat belajar dari orang yang kita anggap mampu untuk melakukan itu. Jadi dari sini kalau misalnya kita lihat buku ya dari orang-orang yang ternama itu dalam menjalankan hidupnya dia itu seperti apa, oke? Nah dari situ kita belajar dari dia. Ya. Kemudian di dalam aktif di dalam organisasi itu juga penting karena di sini kita akan melihat apalagi organisasi sosial itu kan sangat susah mengaturnya. Ya. Sosial itu karena dia tuh kita mengatur orang sangat dinamis. Orang itu nggak bisa kita prediksi, ya. Dia maunya ini, dia maunya itu. Mau nggak mau kita harus bisa melihat ini orang sebenarnya maunya seperti apa, ya. Nah, tanpa harus menyakiti dia, kita harus mampu mengambil kesimpulan. Oh, ini orang sebenarnya kemampuan ini. Manfaatkan hal yang positif dari orang itu untuk ya. Tadi apalagi pertanyaan kedua ini? Di umur berapa kira-kira? Oh, di umur berapa? Masalah umur, hal yang selalu saya nasihatkan kepada anak saya sekarang umurnya 17, adalah there is always time for everything. Oke? Kalau kamu sekarang ini adalah teenager, ya berlakulah seperti teenager. Dalam arti jangan berusaha untuk merasa teenager itu kan pengen merasa udah gede. Ya, padahal sebenarnya dia belum mampu untuk memikul tanggung jawab itu. Okay? Dan pada saat yang bersamaan, yang saya katakan adalah pada saat kita nanti tamat S1, di situ tanggung jawab itu akan keluar dengan sendirinya. Ya. Nah, pada umur berapa kita harus mengambil keputusan kapan ini ya? Itu dari mimpi tadi, Pak. Ya. Saya mimpinya mau ngapain, jadi dari situ saya harus arahkan, kalau dalam bahasa kerennya itu visi dan misi. Ya, tapi kalau dalam kehidupan sehari-hari mungkin kalau saya tulis soal visi saya adalah begini, misi saya terlalu formal banget saya. Ya, tapi kalau saya katakan, gue pengen nih gini, ini mimpi saya. Oke, nah apakah saya bisa mempertahankan mimpi itu sesuai dengan strategi? Nah, disitulah. Ya, kalau kita kembali ke pengalaman saya. Mimpi saya adalah pada waktu itu bisa melakukan sesuatu yang berharga. Pada saat yang bersamaan saya juga mencapai sesuatu hal yang fun partnya gitu, ya. Dan dari situ saya mengambil keputusan-keputusan yang cukup penting. Misalkan pada saat saya diterima bekerja di Schlumberger pertama kali, orang tua saya protes, ya ngapain harus pergi? Ya, pekerjaannya itu ya namanya baru umur 23. Tapi saya katakan ya ini ya saya pengen ini, gitu ya. Let me do it, gitu. Saya udah diterima jadi dosen di ITB pada saat itu, Pak. Tapi saya ngerasa bahwa pekerja Schlumberger juga akan membuat saya, karena salah satu mimpi saya pada waktu itu adalah selain daripada yang informal tadi, yang formalnya adalah sebenarnya saya ingin sekolah di Amerika, tapi saya nggak mau tergantung, saya mau independen sekolahnya. Jadi mimpinya pada saat itu adalah saya mau sekolah, tapi saya nggak ingin mencari tergantung orang siapa yang akan membiayai. Makanya saya pilih Schlumberger karena saya akan mengumpulkan uang. Pada saat saya dapat uang, saya resign Schlumberger, saya balik sekolah, dan alhamdulillah pada saat mulai sekolah dapat beasiswa. Tapi dari situ saya tidak tergantung harus 2N+1 untuk pulang, gitu. Ya kan? Iya kan? Saya tidak mengatakan bahwa sekolah dengan mendapat beasiswa is a bad thing, tidak. Tapi di dalam mimpi saya saya ingin sekolah, ingin independen. Oke, dan kebetulan jalannya waktu itu adalah mengumpulkan uang saya berhasil saya kumpulkan, saya sekolah, dan setelah itu saya bisa mengambil keputusan mau kemana. Jadi pada saat itulah saya mengikut. Jadi intinya adalah mimpi tadi, Pak. Ya, di umur berapa tergantung mimpinya kapan gitu loh. Kalau mimpinya baru setahun lalu agak susah juga gitu.
Meskipun Mas Osnul kalau di undang-undang itu kan pendidikan anak negeri itu kan tanggung negara kan ya.
Kenapa?
Oh, pendidikan anak negeri itu ditanggung negara gitu, masuk ke luar negeri. Pemerintah maksudnya.
Iya.
Tanggung jawab pemerintah.
Ya pertama kali sebenarnya saya itu tadi, saya udah diterima jadi dosen di ITB dan udah saya yakin itu akan dikirim. Jadi profesor yang menerima saya waktu itu pada saat saya katakan sehari sebelum wisuda itu saya sampaikan ke dia, Pak saya nggak jadi. Itu dia merasa kenapa? Gitu. Saya bilang saya mau selam bersih, saya ingin mengumpulkan uang. Ya udahlah, paling kamu juga 2 bulan di sana nggak kuat belajar bahasa Inggris aja pergilah. Tapi 2 bulan lagi kamu balik gitu. Ya, tapi ternyata kehidupan ini saya betah-betah aja karena dikirim kemana-mana bisa jalan akhirnya saya dapatkan. Gitu. Dan ya itu sampai di Tulsa dapat beasiswanya. Jadi saya akhirnya nggak bayar juga gitu, Pak. Oke. Ada lagi?
Do you have any more questions in the audience?
Cukup? Ya, syukur alhamdulillah. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya, Pak, dan selamat buat kepada yang nanti menjadi juara, tapi kepada yang lain jangan khawatir apa yang presentasi yang dilakukan ini, anggaplah itu sebagai pelajaran ya, dan perbanyaklah membuat presentasi itu untuk menyampaikan ide-ide kita ke orang lain. Bahwa inilah yang harus kita lakukan, dan dengan meningkatkan itu akhirnya kita bisa memberikan potensi yang lebih baik. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih banyak Dr. Asnul Bahar. Jadi benar-benar mimpi itu besar ya. Jadi memang harus mimpi yang besar. Sekarang tanda terima kasih ya untuk Dr. Asnul Bahar untuk ke depan lagi.
Ada bingkisan
Dari IMSA.
Oke, terima kasih.
Saya kasih dong, Bu.
Yang ngasih siapa? Ya, terima kasih. Saya mau balik lagi ke SKT.
Okay, so let's continue on. We have 3 more students. So if we finish on time, everything's on time, we should be out here by 1, inshallah. So we have all the judges be here up front. And then next we have Robbie Khalilur Rahman. He's a non-degree student from Northwestern University who will be presenting about state and mobile investor relation on industrialization in post-New Order Indonesia. So please come up.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, I will be presenting my undergraduate thesis that on this topic I want to seek further in my graduate study. So I got the interest about this issue after I was involved in student movement in the university. Basically dealing with lots of public policies and development issues. So I get to think about what is the underlying problems about the current situation in Indonesian society. And it led me to this title. I'm thinking about, I think, 2 main problems in the Indonesian economic development during the 2000s. The first is the weakening role of manufacturing in the economy, as we can measure from the share of manufacturing in GDP, in export, and also in employment. And the second issue is the rising inequality. This is just some figures about the data. We can see the red line is the manufacturing. It is decreasing after around the year of 2000, basically after the fall of New Order era and after the 1997 crisis. This is the falling down of manufacturing and export. And about employment, it didn't actually decrease, but it stopped from increasing. And this is the figures about the inequality from the year of 1999 until the year of 2012. I'll just skip this because it is not really the main issues. I'm talking about industrialization. It is basically the increasing share of manufacturing within an economy, while on the other hand, the share of agriculture is decreasing. So it is about a structural change in an economy. Industrialization normally is viewed in the political science field and also in the economy as a good development because it led to education, technology, well-paid wage, job certainty, and the most important are economic growth and development of the society in general. Well, the industrialization is basically the reversal of industrialization. It can be good in developed countries, which means it is the economy is mature enough to transition from manufacturing to high-end services like R&D or financial services. But in developing countries, mostly it is considered as a bad phenomenon because it happened before the manufacturing sector get its maximum potential. So the economy basically getting back to the primary sector like agriculture with the focus of extractive industries, or it can go to the services with low-end services like informal workers and non-productive works. So it is usually termed as premature industrialization. So the question is, how is the relation between state and mobile investors in the context of industrialization in post-New Order Indonesia? Because I take the perspective of political economy, I try to combine the politics and the economics, or in other words, trying to see the economic phenomenon from the political perspective. With politics, basically it is related to the state, and the economics, it is related to the capital. The state, what I mean is the government or the common economic system, and the public and mobile investors. It is the term from the theory, but it actually means conglomerates, businesses, capital concerns, basically the most important businesses in the economy. And the industrialization, I already explained it. So the theory and method is, I took the theory from Jeffrey Winters. It is about the structural power of capital controllers. He thinks that because the capital in an economy is limited in the hands of few businessmen, they have a power that is structural because they can control the capital, whether they want to move an investment from an economy to the other. And in an economy, there is an investment imperative, which means a society cannot goes on without an investment because this limited capital in the hands of a few men. And also, Winters has seen the rise of mobile investors, which means as the globalization occurred, the capital become more mobile, and the power of the capital is situated in its mobility. And Winters also points at some mediating factors about the structural power of capital controls. These mediating factors will determine how strong a state, how strong the capital controls can determine the decision of the government and the development of the economy. This is the method that I took, the structural power of capital controls as independent variable, and then there are mediating factors which are the intervening variables, and then the dependent variable is the trend of industrialization in post-New Order Indonesia. So this is the finding. I hope you can see it. It is about the mediating factors in post-New Order Indonesia. So Winters did his research on the New Order era in Indonesia. So I tried to use his theory to test his theory in the different timeline that is the post-New Order Indonesia. There are few fields: the economy, politics, social, and the stability, political economic stability. The first factor is the alternative sources of investment. In post-New Order Indonesia, the dominant economic sector that were the commodities, the primary products like coal, palm oils, and other primary products, is dominated by private sectors, and the state is weak economically because the state no longer has a monopoly, for example, like with Pertamina in the 70s. And there are other findings about the factors that has changed after the fall of the New Order. I will just skip it. So the finding is mediating factors has strengthened the structural power of capital controls. Or in other words, the balance of power between the state and capital has changed. In the New Order, the state is stronger, so it can control the capital. But after the 1997 crisis and the fall of the New Order, the state is weakened, because of the decentralization and because of the structural adjustment programs by the IMF, which led to liberalization of economy and privatization of state-owned enterprises, while the capital was consolidating because it was called back to Indonesia after a capital flight following the 1997 crisis. So the conclusion is, to answer the question, the post-New Order Indonesia has seen a stronger capital and a weaker state. And in the meantime, that was a commodity boom that happened in Indonesia because China and India basically has become the bulk of manufacturing in the world. So they need so much fuel for the industries, and many of them come from Indonesia. And it made the private investors didn't put interest anymore in the manufacturing, because this export of commodity is more interesting and more promising for them for their near future profit, and thus it led to the industrialization. Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned the two factors, the decline of manufacturing and inequality. Are there any relations between the decline of manufacturing and maybe inequality? Because it also happened here just recently. In fact, the decline of manufacturing jobs and inequality were cited to be the primary reasons the voters in Rust Belt states like Michigan, Ohio voted for Trump. So I don't know if you did some research on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It is an interesting one, and it helped me to further explain the research. It is when I started the research, it was my assumption that these two phenomena should be related to each other. And after I did the research, I found out that it was true that that many scholars have points at the relation between economy and the condition of the society. We can see that with the decline of manufacturing and the rise of export of the commodities. The inequality has risen. It is because the kind of industries that were focusing on the export of export of the commodities, they were held by only few conglomerates, only few very big network of corporations like Sinarmas and Wilmar and other names that were we can see actually the interesting thing is, well, at this time Indonesian economy is growing very fast and the GDP is rising very high, but the revenues come only to very limited people. It is not even the middle class. It's only upper class. So that if I can show you the figures of the commodity of the inequality, it is, we can see a very uneven growth of expenditure between the top 3% and the 40%, because this kind of export doesn't need so much labor. So the another phenomenon that is also happening are the rise of the informal sector in Indonesia. So people just sell food on the street. People just and it also related to the problem of taxation, I think, because this informal works is not really taxed. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Pak Mas Robi. I have a question. Looking at the changing of dominancy between the state and capital. So post pre-97, the states are dominant, and then after 97, the capital is dominant.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Or which one is better for Indonesia? And looking at the trend with the increasing number of people and the goal of the government to provide social welfare, which one is better? And what do you think? What should happen? And how can the state could they regain their control, or just let it loose?
Yeah, I've got this question quite often. So because people came to think that I was proposing to go back to the new order, but I'm not proposing for that. So basically, the simple answer is we need a stronger state. We need to get back the balance of power, so the state can control the capital. But it should be different from the new order, because it is exactly the new order system of economy that led to the crisis, and then led to the capital flight, and then led to the need to deregulate the regulations to lure back the capitalists after they once take all their money from Indonesia, and then made their power to be consolidating. So, but the stronger state should mean like the state should be strong economically. For example, in the recommendation and conclusion section of the thesis, I recommend several issues, which mainly focusing on the intervening in those mediating factors. For example, like on the second factor, the integration to the global market, we need to think again about the liberalization and this membership of economic institutions, because it made the state lose their authority to control the capital. And I just want to give one other example. In the I think it is in the significance of the mobile investors. And the state should propose something like sovereign wealth fund. So, for example, like the Scandinavian countries and also Middle East countries have, which can make their revenues to be controlled and to be invested for the long run, not because it was maintained by the state and not by the private investors.
Thank you so much. That's all we have time for questions.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. And next we have Taufik Mulyadin, a PhD student from Ohio State University, and will be presenting I Just Wanted a Better Life Than My Parents, Indonesian First Generation College Students' Persistence. So please welcome.
Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Your Excellencies, judges, honorable two speakers, and then all of others, my beloved audiences. And today, inshallah, I'm going to present my study on I just wanted a better life than my parents. Is the quotation from the Quran. And then basically it's about Indonesian first generation college students persistent. Who are first generation college students here? Are the college students whose parents did not attend college at all, both are parents. And to the outline, it would be about introduction, literature review, method, findings, implications, and some reflection. So why I did this study? Because I'm sorry, I did mistake here, so it's not 2003, but 2013. So tuition reform took place in 2013. Okay. With this new policy, so especially for the public universities, they had only one. Previously, they had only one system. I mean, one kind of system. But now, the students can pay the tuition depending on their financial capabilities. Typically, it would be categorized into 5 different types, ranging from like 0 rupiah to 10 million. So this policy change actually provides more access, especially for the first generation, who are mostly coming from the lower socioeconomic families, to enter the college. However, the problems here, according to the literature review, that typically they will face the challenges, especially in terms of the retention and completion. So, and then not think why I did this study, because the study about first generation college students in Indonesia remains limited. So the growing number of this group of students, and then the limitation in the literature review motivated me to conduct the study. So this is the purpose of my study, to understand how Indonesian first generation students in public higher education institutions experience persistence during college. Why public institutions? Because what I mentioned before, that the tuition reform only applied to public institutions. And this is the literature review that I did. First one is about theoretical framework. So I used social capital proposed by Stanton and Salazar. And they defined the social capital as the resources and formal support rooted in connection to key individuals and to network that facilitates the accomplishment of goals and the problem resolutions. And according to them, there are 6 types of support here. The first one is funds of knowledge. It means that information. And then advocacy. They have someone who can advocate them. And then bridging the social networks. It means that they have someone who can connect to other individuals. And role modeling. They have someone who gives them the inspiration. And emotional and moral support. Of course, that's very important, especially in the context of Asia, especially here for Indonesian college students.
And then the guidance. It means that, for instance, like the guidance from the institution, for example, from the university, for example, for the registration, whether they can access to that information, to that guidance. And then this is the research, or the literature about first generation college students. Unfortunately, this research mostly conducted here in the States instead of Asian countries. So typically they are less assistance preparing for college because their parents didn't attend college at all, so they have no any like other information sources, so that they got like less prepared to go or to attend the college. And the lower academic performance is the problem, perceiving themselves to be less academically qualified to attend college because their parents didn't attend college, and because they are the first person in their families who attend college, so they are less confident whether they are qualified or not to go to enter the college. And then working more hours, because mostly they're coming from the lower socioeconomic families, so they have to work more hours while they are in college. Less engaged, because they're busy for working, they have to work more hours, so they become less engaged in campus activities. And perceive their parents to be less supportive and encouraging. As I mentioned before, that their parents didn't ever attend college. That's why the parents, don't know what information they have to provide for the children who want to go to the college. Oops, wait. Okay. So the method I use for my study is qualitative study. Specifically, I use a phenomenological approach. It focuses on the experiences. And then the experiences shared among a group of people. So the participants are 15, and I use proposal sampling. It means that I use some criteria to include the participants. And then the age is between 24 and 26 years old. It means that instead of I interviewed the ongoing college students, so I interviewed the graduate within 5 years from their graduation, because I want to focus on the persistence. So I just want to interview for those who persisted, who completed the degree. And then the years completed, many of them finished their degree between 4 to 5 years, and then institutions, their general institution for the college or public universities in Sumatra, Java Islands. And the data collection I use is questionnaire. Basically, is to make sure whether they are qualified to be my studies participants or not. And then the main tools that I use to collect the data is semi-structured interviews. And then analysis, I use Mustakas, because this analysis is appropriate for the phenomenological studies. So I use epoch. Epoch here means that I have to examine my personal biases, because I was a first generation high student as well when I was undergrad. So I have to make sure that I know the bias that might come up when I analyze the data. So, and then phenomenological reduction basically is coding. Imaginative variation means that like generating the themes, and the synthesis means that the final themes that I got from the data. This is the trustworthiness or the validity. Maybe in quantitative, I use triangulation, number checking, tick description, and reflexive journal. The limitation graduated from selective public universities, so it only applied to those who graduated from the public universities, and all of my participants are pursuing master's degree. See the findings. There are 6 support that they perceive very important for their persistence in college. The first one is family encouragement. Second one is support from friends, guidance from faculty and staff, financial aid, preparation program, and self-motivation. Here I would like to show some excerpts or some quotation from the participants. Like here, family encouragement. My parents, huge influence. So most of the participants say that their parents are the main source for their motivation to attend the college. That's why I put the title. I just wanted to have better life than my parents. The second one is support from friends. is very, very important as well, especially in the first year, because as we know that in most typically when they for the fresh or for the new students, they will have like what we call it, like what I forget. The thing that they have to go through as a new students, like using the campuses. Okay, orientation. So in the orientation, they got the friends, and typically they will they would have the support from the friends they got from that orientation. And faculty staff assist is very important as well, especially so one of the person say that what the staff and faculty here become their university parents. So whenever she got the problem, she would go to the staff or faculty to share and to get the help. And then preparation program is very important as well, because the parents didn't know information and didn't have any experience at all about the college. So they say that the preparation program is very important, especially when making decision about what university, what major they have to they would choose. And then financial aid is very important as well, because most of them are coming from the lower socioeconomic status family. So financial aid is very important to make them persist in the college. Self-motivations. And this is a conclusion, both social and institution supports were important to the first generation students' persistence in public higher education in Indonesia. So next time we can discuss more in the question session.
Okay, do you have any questions from the audience?
Yeah.
I don't know, like there is like some people say like our parents is like our motivation, but I have a friend that her parents is just like in high school, and she's got a like she going to a public university, and she's my friend, and then ask her, do you want to like continue your study or not? And it's like I don't have the motivation to going study, because like my parents just like a high school, and then he say that why like you must going to like a university again or like a more education, like I can become like, and my parents is successful even they just like a high school, why I must go get back like to motivation for me to going like more education to like the university public. So do you think like there is like something like sometimes like from parents they have a positive motivation, but sometimes they make like a negative motivation for the students? So is that, do you have that kind of in your research or not?
Yeah, basically the parents here can be like the idea to get to college coming from the parents or coming from the student themselves. I mean, when they see the parents' condition, for example, they're poor, for example, and then they have like not they don't have like sufficient income. So okay, I need to go to college to have better life. And actually, I didn't find any information. I mean, I didn't find anything such like that in my participants. So they said, all of the participants saw their parents as a positive influence instead of the negative influence for their decision making to attend college. So that's why maybe I didn't find it in my participants. Okay, you can follow up.
Because a lot of people think like for now it's like people think like education is important,
Okay.
and then they realize it's like I can become entrepreneurship without my title. I have like all of like what like I got bachelor degree, I got my master, and then there's a lot of people who just take a high school and it is successful to have something like they open a restaurant and it's very big, or they open a hotel and now they were like very like, for example, like we can say like the
can ask more questions later in the end, because it's already 12:45.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. So right now we have our final speaker, Tri Murni, who will be talking about Sastra Buruh Migran, crossing borders and proposing a new concept of the Indonesian domestic worker.
Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tri Murniati. I'm studying Comparative Literature and Cultural Studies at the University of Arkansas. Well, I'm the last participant. Please bear with me for the next 15 minutes. I know you are all hungry and tired. So, let's see. Can you pull up my PowerPoint? Okay, thank you. So, today I'm going to present my project titled Sastra Buruh Migran, Crossing Border and Proposing a New Concept of the Indonesian Domestic Workers. So, Sastra Buruh Migran is kind of a new term which flourished around 2000, and it begins with the publication of the Indonesian Domestic Workers, or I'd say IDW, novels, a story points, memoir, and essay. And to be exact, like in 2002, there was one publication by a domestic worker who works in Hong Kong named Denok Rahmatika. So she published her anthology of short story titled Negeri Elok di Mana Kami Berjuang. So this marked the birth of the Sastra Buruh Migran. And what is interesting about this is because the stories about migrant workers in Indonesia is rarely heard. So mostly we know from the account of the exile, like the politician who has to go abroad because of the situation, and also the student and scholar account. So it is a new phenomenon and a recent development that domestic workers, they talk about themselves, and then they publish their own works. And then the other thing that I would like to propose here is that the female voice is really dominant in this domestic workers account, because most of the domestic workers are female or women. And then my project will explore about the portrayal of their immigration experiences in the host countries. And the other thing is because in Indonesia, we have one dominant discourse which frame these workers, frame all these women to bear one singular identity. So they are, they are from rural area, they are not intelligent enough, and they are docile and things like that. So this makes people, especially in Indonesia, have one perception how to see them. So most of the time we will see them as a low kind of people, and they are not good for nothing else other than doing domestic job. And then this kind of thing, this discourse not only affect the domestic worker in Indonesia themselves, but also those who work abroad. So like Constable in her project about the foreign domestic worker in Hong Kong, so she found that the Indonesian domestic worker are seen as a less political people, and they are easy to be organized, and they are docile, and they are also preferable because they speak Cantonese better than any other domestic worker or like from the Filipinos, and they usually less able to argue, and then that's why they are preferable. And also Loben also found the same thing. And the other thing is that from the media, the things that we heard about them is about heartbreaking stories, about the abuses. So we rarely know the good thing from this domestic worker. So that is why by writing their stories, we will know that, okay, we will know from the first point of view, from the workers themselves, not from the third person, from the media. And because the media, they produce and reproduce a kind of perspective which also build an image about domestic worker in our mind, and this influence how we see them as people. So I argue that Sastra Buruh Migran, as the creative works of the Indonesian domestic worker, challenge the stereotype in the which circulate in the society, and then also like as I said before, that they are seen as people or a worker who are not good in anything else other than doing domestic work, and they are all unintelligent, and then docile, and then gaudy. They are too much in appearance and thing else. And also, this will overturn the derogatory perception of the worker that are produced and reproduced by the media. This is a kind of counter narrative. This is an alternative narrative provided by the domestic workers themselves. And then by having this, the Sastra Buruh Migran hopefully will change the mindset of the Indonesian people, so that they will see them more as a person, and then that they need to be appreciated more. And they are not only a doer but also thinker, because living in other country, as you see, I mean, you are all living in, not in Indonesia, and you know how difficult it is, and you can imagine that they are working there under the roof of the employer, and because there is an asymmetrical relationship between, like in this domestic employment, so they are not free there. So there's another challenge that they need to overcome. And also, well, there are some research about this, of the Indonesian domestic worker narrative, but mostly they talk about the literacy activity that they have, and also like the emotion contained in the narrative. And my own project will focus more on their immigration experiences. What are the challenges? What kind of borders do they have to cross? Well, technically they cross the international border, the physical border, but then they also have to cross the metaphorical border, the language border, the social, economic, things like that. And then that is why my project will fill the gap, that will bring a different nuance about the challenge or like the life of the Indonesian domestic worker. And I will use the library research and also fieldwork. I conducted fieldwork twice, first in the summer of 2016 in Indonesia and summer 2017 in Singapore. And the primary works that I'm going to use are all the narrative, range from the visual to the written narratives. And also I will use some secondary data about domestic work, and also transnationalism, border studies, and also migration studies. And then I will combine literary and cultural study approaches. So with cultural studies approaches, it helps us to see a mundane reality, something which we see on a daily basis, to be part of a bigger system, or like something that we can take meaning. All right, and then, okay, first I'm going to talk about domestic work. So, as an Indonesian, we see domestic work or like domestic worker differently from other kind of job. This is because we have a kind of perception that domestic work is seen as something which is practically and psychologically fit for women. And this exacerbated by the strong patriarchal ideology. So people will see that, okay, men are in the domain area, they are in the public, and women are in the domestic area. So that is why any woman, they can do this kind of job. And this influence how paid domestic work will be less appreciated by people. Okay, and then because this kind of work only need physical strength only without any necessary skill, then this affect how that they have like a poor payment in their work, and also a bad working condition. However, domestic employment has a tremendous development in the global south because of the global inequalities and also globalization. So, for example, domestic work people who work in Singapore, for example, they can make money as much as people in Indonesia who work as, say, a teacher or
Manager.
a manager. So this is attract those women, especially in the poor country, to go to the more developed country, because wealthier country, they pay low-paid job better than like standard or high kind of job in poor country. So, all right, I will skip this one. So, and about a border, because I'm going to talk about the border challenge, we need to know what border is. So border, according to Mignolo and Trosanova, so border entail multiple meanings. So not only physical, not only geographical, but also subjective and political. And you know, at both sides of the border, we will have a kind of coloniality relation. So we have a different kind of imbalanced power relation. You know, in a domestic employment, you see the employer and also the worker. We automatically see that, okay, the employer is higher than the worker. The employer paid the worker, so the workers should be they should obey and do something, you know, whatever the employers want. So, so this also happened within the life of the domestic worker. And also I use this. Okay, so. Okay, I will skip this one. Let me pull out this one. So this is written by Bayu Insani. She is a returnee now. Okay. She said, terus terang tadinya saya sempat kurang baca PD saat disuruh menceritakan dunia TKW. Anda tentu tahu pekerjaan kami adalah pembantu rumah tangga. Namun setelah saya pikir ulang, entah mengapa saya tertarik untuk menguruskannya dan ingin berbagi dengan pembaca. See, you see that she said, terus terang tadinya saya sempat kurang pede menceritakan tentang dunia TKW. Tentu Anda tahu pekerjaan adalah pembantu rumah tangga. When we see the subtext here, we see that she is already aware that the kind of job that she does is something which is less appreciated by people. And she knows exactly that other people will think the same. So this is how the ideality works. So the perception in our mind works that way, so that she will become docile because she feel like, okay, I'm not intelligent because people will think so, and I do this kind of job. I clean the toilet, for example. Okay, what happened now? Okay, last, please, this one. So, and then she finally come up to something what I call border awareness, that she understand that there is a gap, there is something that she need to cross in order to be better in her employment. So, she said, kendala terbesar yang sering dihadapi oleh sebagian buruh migran Indonesia dalam bekerja adalah komunikasi. Sering terjadi kasus, yakni karena miskomunikasi akhirnya berujung pada terminasi bla bla bla. Okay, so this so she realizes something, that there is a problem within this domestic employment, and most of the time it's because the communication, the language border. So this domestic worker, they need to cross this border in order to have a smooth relationship with the employment. So you know, if we have like bad communication, what we want to share, what we want to send through the message is not well accepted or it's not well received. And in the case of domestic workers, that is why there are so many abuses happen just because of the miscommunication. So for conclusion, IDW narrative, which depict their personal life, have provided a way by which we can make meaning and also understand their circumstances better. So in a way, this Sastra Buruh Migran, it has a potential to make IDW more visible, and also that as a human being, so they deserve respect and appreciation like any other people in the world. Thank you.
I have a question. So, do you think it's also connected to the conclusion? Do you think the written media give them a mean to express who they really are, or by writing, actually it also changes themselves because they now has a mean to communicate to other people outside there, because domestic workers usually only meet with people in their houses or So,
Okay, sorry, what do you mean by written media?
so by writing.
Oh, by writing?
Yeah. So by writing, do they just really express who they really are, or writing actually help them change who they
Yes.
they were?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the domestic workers, she does say that by writing, she has a mission that she wants to change the stereotype that that they usually have, or like how people see them. And by engaging in literacy activity, it also helps them to grow or to develop to be a better people and like to upgrade their skills. So in a way, this kind of activity helps like for both sides. For them, they have the personal growth, and also for other people, they also see that, okay, this domestic worker is not like the usual domestic worker or like what we usually think. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Putri Muni. When I see the topic, I think this is good because they voice their situation to outside the world.
Yes, exactly.
But can you take it further? I mean, especially in Indonesia, we have the Director General for the Labor Force.
Yes.
Because it's like documenting the life of the IDWs. So not only just providing a way by which you can make meaning and understanding the situation, but they can take it further to voice their problems and situation to the authorities.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a tough challenge because in Indonesia we have some, it's kind of difficult to have a kind of synergy inter party which are involved. But however, I think we have now people are started to work together. The ministry or the academia, and also the domestic worker, and also some NGO and the domestic workers association. So like I think last week, so there's a kind of event, I forgot exactly what it's about, but like this event, they combine people from different party, like from the government and also from the domestic worker and some of the PPTKIS. So they have a kind of meeting to talk about the future, or like to talk about how to make this domestic employment better in Indonesia. So so they're working on it. And then, however, like for the migrant care, they help these domestic workers to facilitate, like to show them to the government that, okay, this is something that we need, and then we need the government's help, how to make this kind of employment better. Because most of the time, the government, they don't really help with all the things that is going on in the domestic employment. So, but they're working on it. Thank you.
I would like to follow up.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I don't know if you ever watched the movie The Helper.
Yes.
Have you had any?
Oh, so sorry, the helper or the helps?
The helps.
The helps, okay.
The helps about the domestic worker in the southern United States. I was wondering if you have an idea or an encouragement to be like the journalist Skeeter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I guess the last name is Skeeter.
Yeah. So have you thought of doing the things that like what she was doing? Like,
Okay. Well, I don't have the kind of plan at the moment, but there is a possibility that I gotta write something about this one, and in the future, because I wanna, because like in the domestic workers themselves, not all of them are aware of this sastra buruh migran. Because when I went to Singapore and I asked some of the domestic workers, they don't know what sastra buruh migran is. So it is actually important to help them aware of this kind of genre. So it is not only because we have problem with the publication, like it only circulate in a smaller community, so it doesn't reach like other, like wider audience. So what we need is people to spread the word. So when I'm done with this project, and then I will have a what it's called, like a kind of engagement with some of the Indonesian domestic workers in Hong Kong and Singapore, try to disseminate this kind of project, and also in Indonesia, and also publish something so that people will be aware of this Sastra Buruh Migran and how it can be a kind of movement.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the 2, 3. She's the last presenter for this competition. Alhamdulillah, we finished all the session for this ISO session. Inshallah, we will announce the winner on Monday night during the Malam Persembahan or entertainment night. So like, since I promised we will have door prize, yeah, we will just pick. We have attendance list, and from the attendance list, I already have the number here, and I'll just pick one. I don't know, like, okay, can you open this one? And this one for the lunch bag.
Oh.
Number 8.
Number 8 is Dion Gina. This one, Dion. Can we come? Okay, the next one. Yeah, the next one I just picked, so I will open. Number 15, Mohammed Bah. Okay, look at this one. Okay, number 24, Dara Pribadi. It's not here, so I'm sorry, we have to be here.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Eliminate.
Number 25, Sri Nur something. Okay.
Bisa ditukar.
Next, number 10 is Taufik Mulyadin. Number 19, oh no, this one, just myself.
Nggak boleh, panitia nggak boleh. Panitia nggak boleh.
Number 18, Muhammad Budiman.
Thank you.
Number 7, I don't know why Taufik Mulyadin.
Oh, curang. KKN.
Number 2, Marwah Ulfa Arifin.
No.
Here. Okay. Not here. This one. Number 5, Ilham Permata.
Nggak boleh, panitia. Nggak boleh.
Number 7,
Foto nggak nih?
Arya Novianto. Okay, we have 2 more.
Apa nih? Jaket apa yang ini?
Yang apa, hoodie?
Yang belum dapat hadiah.
Number 11, Ludwi Winardi.
XL. Saya udah punya nih.
Kasih yang lain.
Next one, the last one is number 21, is Ahmad Anwar.
What is it? Oh,
And this is the gift from the ISO for our judges. This is from Dr. Devrika Murdianti. Thank you very much for your help. This is for Dr. Muhammad Arif Budiman. And this is for Arya Novianto. If there's something wrong in the name or certificate, let us know. So we can correct.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khairan kasiran. Ya, alhamdulillah we finish. Let's close this one with doa akhir majelis. Subhanallah.